Okay. I think so. If it's not public on CDE
It
yet,
is.
it will
It
be
is.
soon.
It
Yeah,
was last week.
okay.
Okay, we're good to go.
Good evening. Welcome. Welcome, guests. It is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. I'd like to call this Board of Education study session to order. It is 5:31 p.m.
Flanagan.
Here.
Haig.
Here.
King.
Here.
McHugh.
Here.
North.
Here.
Move to approve the agenda. Second.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Haig.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
McHugh.
Yes.
North.
Yes. So Wes, you've got a few updates for us.
I do. So thank you for the opportunity to share with you all. First, I want to do some congratulations to 3 of our schools who received performance on the last year's state assessments. Carlson Elementary, their performance school, Georgetown is another performance school, and King Murphy is a performance school. So congratulations to the 3 of them. Did an outstanding job. We still continue to look at our work. We have some grants right now, and we're working with some consultants to really dive into the needs of our middle school right now to try to support their learning and making sure that they put forth their best efforts. It was nice to see that they had over 95% participation last year, which was great to see at the middle school. So now we just really need to work on their performance. And I think that working with the teachers and the support we're getting right now this year, we should be able to improve that score. So looking forward to seeing having celebration among the students and the staff this time next year on their success. The interesting thing is that the high school would have been performance. However, they didn't reach their attendance participation for the assessment. They missed that slightly. So talking to the principal, he is dedicated to make sure we get that participation on the assessment to be up there, and they will be at performance next fall. Overall, the district is performance rating, so that's a great thing for the district. So as we've seen some of our other districts around the Front Range, they're celebrating their green. So my hope is this time next year, we'll all be wearing green at this board meeting to celebrate the success of all of our schools at performance. So we're just about there to make it happen. In the effort to do that, I'm conducting leadership walks with my principals to support their work in the school and to kind of dive into what we're seeing in the classroom and just try to figure out how we can support the teachers. And I mean, I've seen so much great things in the schools. It just makes me proud of going through the elementary schools. I've been to 2 of them over the last 2 weeks, and it's just been like, wow, we have some great things happening in our elementary school. So it's fantastic. I go through the middle school and high school this week, so I'm looking forward to that. And I'm going to be going to Georgetown here soon too. They've been very kind about inviting me to do walks there, and so I'm excited about that.
I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So that's been good, and that also guides some of our professional development to help support the teachers' needs based on the observations too. Last week, Aaron and I met with the Long Range Plan Committee. We are very excited to have the 3 folks who join us for those meetings. They all bring. One of the gentlemen works for a university and has some expertise in long-range planning, which is fantastic. And then 2 of them have experience working in construction of large facilities and understanding the complexities of that. So that's fantastic. We have upcoming meetings. If anybody still wants to join us out there in the watching us online, our upcoming meetings are on Thursday, October 9th, Wednesday, November 5th, and Wednesday, December 3rd. And so they'll start at 5:30, and they're at Carlson in the district offices in the conference room. So I look forward to having folks join us if they want to be part of that conversation. Last week, I invited the principal and his wife to join me for the Bootstraps fundraiser, the 80th anniversary of Bootstraps. Bootstraps provides scholarships for students in the 4 high schools, Platte Canyon High School, Conifer High School, Evergreen High School, and Clear Creek High School. Last year, we had 4 students apply for scholarships and 4 of them received them. They've given me a challenge being on the being a board member of Bootstraps to increase those number of applicants, because one of the things they stated was, and I was part of the preliminary review of scholarships, was they were outstanding candidates. They just want more candidates to receive the scholarship funding. So if we can really work with the school here to increase the number of kids who apply for that, they would really help the students get some funding they need for colleges. College is not getting cheaper, it's just getting more expensive. I had a meeting yesterday at the rec center discussing after-school programming, and we're really trying to figure out how we can connect all of our schools to the Clear Creek Rec Center and program that's offered in the community, whether it's performing arts, the library, Resilience 1220, all the different organizations that make up our community that can really provide those extension of experiences beyond the school day for kiddos. And so we had a phenomenal conversation, and we're trying to look at expanding it. They've asked for Brooke from Transportation to join the conversation to see how we can provide some transportation in and around the district for experiences on Fridays. So, and Brooke's looking forward to see what she can do to help out with that. I've been asked by the Clear Creek Rotary Club to do a presentation on the 24th of September and talk about my experience and kind of the initiatives they're going forth in the district. So I'm excited about presenting that. And then doing some research, I was excited to see that there was a kind of focus on having superintendent breakfast in the community. So I have scheduled, thank you, Lori, for doing this for me. So we have breakfast coming up at Carlson Elementary on September 30th, Georgetown on November 20th, King Murphy on October 2nd, and Clear Creek Middle School High School on the 23rd. And they'll start at 7:30 in the morning, except for Georgetown because they have a different schedule. But 7:30, that way I can capture some teachers to join us in the conversation and also stay after for some additional parent conversation. But it's really a chance for teachers and parents and anybody who wants to be part of it just to join us and just bend my ear and share some thoughts and so forth. And Board of Education, I'm excited that we have some students who signed up to join Tina from here to go on the retreat to Casby this year. So we have 4 students who are excited about that experience, and looking forward to them joining us. And we have a special dinner, so you all will, those of you attend, hopefully we'll get a chance to sit with them on that Friday evening. So we'll have dinner with the kids and kind of have a casual conversation with them and get their perspective on their needs and leadership and how they want to grow as leaders. And then the last thing I have for you is in your packet somewhere, there should be a sample resolution from another school district regarding the Healthy Meals ballot initiative that's going to be put out this fall. I would ask for consideration of a resolution by this board, if possible, to sign a letter of support for the Healthy Meals ballot issue coming up. We know many of our students are taking advantage of the meals. Unfortunately, the previous ballot issue that was issued 2 years ago, I think it was, or maybe a little longer, is not enough to cover the needs of our students. And I will tell you, our students are taking advantage of it. So I'd like to be able to continue that for kids, because for some kids, this may be the chance to get a meal while they're at school. I know many of the middle school and high school students, they have such active lifestyles with playing sports and activities that the many calories we put in their bodies, the better they are being able to participate in those activities. So I want to make sure we take care of them too. And that's all I have.
So would you like to see this in the next board meeting?
I would like to see it as soon as possible, knowing that we're kind of on a time crunch before the ballot initiative goes out. And I think ballots start going out in October, if I'm correct. So if we can do it by next one or
Does
October
anybody
at
have
the
a problem
latest.
with?
Well, can we review it now, and if we have any big concerns about it, we could look at it for our business meeting coming up? Does anybody have a concern with that?
No,
I mean, I have no concern about it. I think this is a really important area, and I think one of the things that was maybe questionable as it was kind of going through its process, because it's changed from the original approved ballot language and title. And I think that there was some confusion, or at least desire for clarity around, will we be taking money from the school food program to support the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. And it's very clear that it does not do that, and that the school meal portion needs to be fully funded before anything additional could go to support counties in the SNAP program. So I am very much in favor of this, and I do know that we have lots of kids on here, so I do think we should try to do it sooner rather than later. Resolutions matter more if they are in place before people are voting. So I do think the timing would make sense to put it on September, and I've been kind of involved in some of the work around it, so I'd be happy if anybody wants to call me and ask questions about it. I'd be happy to help with this thing.
I think if you could help ready a draft so that we can all see it, because we've got about 2 weeks before the meeting.
Right, yeah,
Would
let's
that give
do
you enough
that.
time
Yeah,
to review?
absolutely.
okay with that. Yep.
I mean, their draft is, their
Yeah.
plagiarizing this seems pretty good to me.
Swipe.
Swiping, sorry.
Yes. Yes.
We have full permission from that district to
Whatever
do
we
so.
But
So
no,
thank
it's
you.
the
Sure.
mandate that
Yeah.
we've needed as a district, and something that Marcy and I have been scrutinizing on the financials, and I think it could help a lot.
Yeah.
It's at least a step in the right direction.
Yeah, we are spending money right now on those.
And then, in addition to the district supporting it, I think anybody who's listening or other board members to just talk about why it's important, because it's not for sure that the funding will continue. So we have to make sure that we still go out and we vote for it if that's where we decide, because the possibility of it not passing has a pretty huge impact to schools.
Thank you for elevating that. Yes.
All right, cool.
Thanks. All right, we've got some guests here with us today. I'd like to invite the Elevated Community Health team to offer the presentation. Yes, please. And you can pull another chair up too, if you like.
You can just stand.
Okay.
You can dance, you can use the table.
I know, I've
you
had
can-
I have some material for everyone.
Oh, thank you.
I can pass out. I think, do you have my?
yep.
Okay, great. Yay.
Thank you for making the drive over from Summit to be with us.
Of course. Yeah, this is a great start. A quick.
Thank you.
It was like that smooth.
Oh, you're
They weren't closing Boyd Hill for any reason for us.
On the west side of the interstate, so I can do all of my shopping.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry.
I know, right? All right.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having us here. I know we met with one of the commissioners, George Carlin, a few months ago, and then we had a conversation more recently with you, Wesley, and with you, Jessica, as well. So thank you for your time and for inviting us here. My name is Josh Cogdell. I'm the CEO of Elevated Community Health. I'll let you two introduce yourself as well.
Go for it. I'm Hannah Gall. I'm the SBC director. Yeah. And then my name is Sarah. I am the strategic funding director, so I support grants and then also just business growth. And I should say SBHC stands for School-Based Health Center. Yeah.
And here's a clicker if you want to.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay.
And I would say this is quite informal, so if you all have questions, if you see something, please just jump in, and just yell something at us and we'll answer the question. So.
I assume I just hit the arrow.
Yep. Is it not?
It's not. That's not
Oh, that's
connected.
not gonna do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have it up for our own in case we need it.
Yeah, we just have, I think it's about maybe 10 or 12 slides, so not that much, but just kind of want to give you all an overview of who we are and who they are. So again, Josh Cogdell, CEO. I've been the CEO for about a year now. I was on the board of directors for 2 years prior on the organization, back when we were known as Summit Community Care. So we have been around for over 30 years, known as Summit Community Care Center. We've been, operating services outside of Summit County for over 5 years, so it just made sense that we changed the name. I knew about the desire to change the name from being on the board, so I did have the board approve our new name back in December. I then announced our new name publicly at our big annual fundraiser at Super Soul and Keystone back in March. So that is our new name, Elevated Community Health. Been around for over 30 years. Our primary services or our core services are primary care, behavioral health, and dental services. And just last week, we just opened our pediatric dental practice. Very happy about that. We took over the practice from Dr. Malcolm Strange. He and his son primarily function down here in the Front Range area. You know, I think they have 4 or 5 practices out here, but he has had an office in Frisco for over 20 years. So we just took that over last week. We have the only board certified pediatric dentist in Summit County. So very happy about that. Dr. Deanna Drake, she's a Colorado native. She was a general dentist, you know, for many years. Her father was a dentist. She grew up, I think, in Loveland, and then went back and recently became a board certified pediatric dentist as of this summer. So very happy about that. We are a federally qualified health center, or an FQHC. We are one of 21 FQHCs in the state of Colorado. We're about average in terms of size. So we're kind of, and I guess I'll get to the volume on the next slide, but we do operate 18 sites. As you can see here, most of those are school-based health centers in Summit, Lake, and Park counties. We have 3 dental offices, 2 behavioral health offices, and then 2 medical offices. Our main location is in Frisco.
I think it's just worth adding a federally qualified health center, in case anyone doesn't know. That's essentially a federal recognition that we provide services to all, no matter their ability to pay. So through our services, we have a sliding fee discount. We also will just never deny anyone. So no matter if they have Medicaid, no insurance, we will see everyone. There's no limit to it.
So this is just some historical data here going back 9 or 10 years or so. You can see how we've grown over the years. That top right, you know, number 10,140, that's the number of new patients, you know, we saw last year in 2024. In terms of total patient visits across all of our service lines and all of our 18 locations was just over 37,000 billable visits for 2024. As Sharon mentioned earlier, we do see a high number of uninsured patients. So for 2024, that was about 52%. That's not sustainable, you know, for a lot of for-profit businesses, but we are a nonprofit, right? So we do receive a lot of funding from the state and federal government as well. So, and we've also seen our uninsured rate drop this year, which is great to see. We put more work in getting patients correctly enrolled in Medicaid. So we've seen our Medicaid rate this year increase to about 30%, and our commercial insurance has also increased this year. So our uninsured is hovering right around 42% as of a year-to-date number right now. So, but we do primarily serve the underserved patient population. You can see here about 47% live at or below the federal poverty level. So very low income there. And then about 38% of our patients identify as Hispanic or Latino.
So really what our conversation here is with you guys today is about a school-based health center. And so Hannah will dig more into exactly the services provided, but just more at a high level, a school-based health center is a mini elevated community health located within the school. And it can look in many different ways. It could have all 3 service lines: primary care, behavioral health, and dental. It could have just behavioral health. It could have behavioral health and dental. It could have behavioral health and primary care. It just can kind of be a mix-up of what that school needs and that student body needs. And so really how it works is we integrate within the school. So it provides students less time out of the classroom. It's something where that clinic like let's say it's here, it would operate here, and we'd call the student down to provide the services, and then they'd go right back. Just as, Hannah might dig into this, but most of the services can be provided without a parent, like a dental cleaning, behavioral health visits. Parents are always welcome to join. And then primary care appointments, we just want a parent involved, whether it's through telehealth or in person, up through elementary school. And then once there's grade, parents don't have to be part of the visit. But so it really helps parents who are maybe driving to Denver for work or can't make it in, have their kids still get the care they need, without them having to take off time of work, or at least driving them to and from. They could just hop on a little video call and join them. So that's just a big overview of what a school-based health center is. Yes.
So if a student wants to take advantage of the services and the parents want them also do that, would they fill out the insurance documentation prior to the appointment so that they would be a streamlined process, or how does that work accessing? I'm assuming you accept private insurance the parents have for the services.
Yeah, so there's like an enrollment form. It's just like a 2-page
Right.
document. 3. It's true. But the parent.
All the disclaimers are on the 3rd page.
There you go. All the initials.
Right.
Yeah. But so really, we just, one enrollment form lasts a year.
Okay.
So then a parent would just need to complete that anytime throughout the year. So we love it, and this is way into the details, but we love, like at Summit School District, it's actually part of their Power School enrollment.
Okay.
So then a lot of parents can just immediately enroll their student when they're enrolling them in the school district. But, or we also have the paper forms or electronic forms where if you say it's December and the parent's like, oh, I want my kid to get that sports physical,
Right.
then they could just fill it out, and then that will last for the rest of the school year. And so it's just simply a phone call.
Yes, sorry. I was just gonna jump in and say, it just truly depends on the school district, on how they would like this to happen. That just happens to be the way that Summit School District works, that they want it to be an annual renewal thing.
Mhm.
And that might be subject to change here in the next couple of years. It really is dependent on what the school board, the superintendent, the principals feel. There are ways in which we could extend that and have it say be the life of the student in elementary school or life of the student in middle school. And so then the parent wouldn't have to re-enroll every single year. They would have the option to review those consents and make any changes if they would like. But a lot of times we feel that sometimes parents might be super busy with life and things and might forget to check that box of, yes, I do consent giving enrollment, giving my child the ability to see a provider in the school. And so, yeah, it is usually annual, but we are also open to opportunities of it not having to be an annual.
Yeah.
Great question. And I guess to answer the insurance part, we do have a patient access representative that kind of handles the calling down the students, making sure the appointments are scheduled. They'll go ahead and call the parent ahead of time, make sure we have the proper insurance information so that we can bill it appropriately. And then depending if there's a copay or not, we can collect that copay at that time.
Is this for students only or can teachers?
Yes, so teachers, so all staff, school staff, and also parents and family members are able to receive primary services specifically. Behavioral health and dental are usually reserved for the students themselves just because of staffing and, different, like for oral health care, children are always different than adults. That's a great question. And that also depends on the school district. So that could be, could be expanded to the public or kept only within, school staff and parents or immediate family members, if that is what the school wishes.
So just a quick snapshot of our school-based health center. So you can kind of see back in 2024, we had just a little over 9,000 visits across all our school-based health center sites. And you can kind of see the list there. I believe there's 12. I did not number them. So there's the ones on top, obviously Park County School, they offer all 3 service lines. So we have primary care services, typically 2 days a week. We also have a behavioral health provider, and that ranges from typically 2 days a week to 5 days a week, depending on how big that school is. And then dental services, typically every other week to 2 days a week, depending on how big the school is. And the dental service, well, I guess we'll get into that. The schools with the little stars, those are ones where they just don't have all 3 service lines. So most of them all have behavioral health services, and then we'll provide dental screenings or cleanings at them, kind of depending upon that school's need and interest.
So I'll go over our 3 main service lines. Our first one, as Josh mentioned, is primary care. And generally the staffing for that would be a medical provider. Usually that's a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant. And we have an MA, a medical assistant, to help support that provider. And then, as I mentioned, we have a patient access representative to help with the scheduling, calling down the student, and then any sort of insurance back end for the help. And then the services that we offer are wide variety. We do preventative care, we do annual physicals, sports physicals are usually a very common one we do with students. I had a frequently asked question that recently came up in terms of, well, what if I have insurance and what if I have a primary care physician? And that is absolutely okay. You can see your primary care physician for, that well child check. We're here and happy to take care of any incidentals that come up. Say Susie has a sore throat, she goes see the school nurse says, yeah, we should probably go home. Well, maybe we can see Susie at the SVHC instead, provide her a strep test, and have our provider send some antibiotics home or prescription for antibiotics so that the student can spend more time in school, less time having to go to that primary care office, get all those tests done, have the parent take off work to make all of that happen. So we're also just like here to help and support in any way. We're not trying to take anybody's primary care. We're just here to help in however way we can. But yeah, to continue down the list, besides the preventative and primary care services, we can also do immunizations, which are a huge thing. We usually partner with public health to do those and make sure we get all the students covered with the immunizations that they need for the school year, or whatever age that they're at. And then we do offer chronic disease management, whatever it may be for the student, or again, family member or school staff. And so our nurse practitioners and physician assistants can manage diabetes and asthma and high cholesterol, any of that, you name it. And then family planning is also part of it. We do receive Title X funding, and so that is part of our primary care services as well. And then as mentioned, and that's a great question, it was a segue into who can access services. Primary care is our main service line that, again, students, school staff, and family members can receive within the school. And again, that is flexible and open to what the school prefers and would like it to have.
I think it's worth noting just quickly about the who can access. Like, let's say we have a school-based health center here at this site. Someone from an elementary school could also come to it. So it's open to anyone in the school district, even if the site is not at that person's school.
That is it.
Oh yeah, unless you guys actually chose to restrict it.
That's true. Very true.
Very much you guys, how you choose to open or close.
Customize.
It is very customizable, but that is a very good point, and we do try to keep that within district so that, for example, if somebody from Lake County is enrolled at, Lake County High School, they're not going to receive services at Summit County High School. We try to keep that separate. The next one?
Oh, she is.
She's at it. Oh my goodness, I didn't even look. Thank you. Okay, so our next service line is behavioral health, and our staffing around that is a licensed clinical therapist, and again, a patient access representative to help with the scheduling and make sure all the paperwork and everything that is required is completed. We do services such as mental health assessments. We can do crisis intervention. We tend to have specific protocols with the school district around that because there sometimes are different crisis service providers in the counties. And so we try to make sure that we can take care of our students that are within our caseload. And if there is a student outside of our caseload, we try to refer those or keep those within the county crisis service. And then, yeah, we do referrals to other mental health providers depending on the acuity or the need of the student. We just want to make sure they're always paired with the correct provider and the needs that they have can be met. And then again, this one is mostly just for students. We would love to expand it out to more of staff and parents, but right now we find that we do find great need among the student body, and so we want to make sure that they have the most access to this, and then other folks like school staff and parents can access those services elsewhere. Yeah.
So I have a question.
Of course.
So providing these behavior services or the other services, does that extend into the summer if the school district and the school permits that availability?
That is a great question, and again, that's part of the customizable piece. So depending on the school district, depending on the school or where the clinic is located in the school, in Summit County, we had 2 locations open over the summer. In Lake County, we kept our 1 location open, but at a minimum, like a smaller level, like we weren't open 2 days a week for primary care, we kind of limited it to 1 day. And then actually we weren't open in Park County over the summer. So it really just depends on the school district and the needs and where the clinic is located, if folks are comfortable us being open over summer and operating.
Is there a need for summer care, you think, for services like this in the summer?
I just wanted to worry about behavior health. If you've got someone that you build a relationship with, and one of the things that research says, if you have disruptions of that, it causes a restarting the whole process of getting that relationship built up. So for kids in trauma, it's hard to.
Yeah, if supported, we would love to stay open and help that continuity of care.
And then some schools have done like telehealth, where it's like maybe they're not comfortable with us like being alone in their school building, but then we work out them coming to another location of ours that we can have for the summer, or doing telehealth. We do try to find other opportunities if we can't be in the school building.
Thank you.
And I guess the other challenge is sometimes that during the summer, of course, students aren't at school. And so that does add the barrier of travel to get to school for these services, which during the school year is not an issue because they're already in school. So just things we think about sometimes. But more than happy to make that happen if that's something that is desired.
Thank you.
And then last but not least, our dental service line. So we generally bring down a dental hygienist, a registered dental hygienist, and then our patient access representative, again, will be scheduling and calling down those students for their appointments. Now, dental is interesting because that is where that parental consent, we usually have a couple check boxes for the parent to choose what sort of services we can provide. We can do screenings, which are just very general. We do cleanings, and then this is where the consents are necessary, whether parents would like us to take x-rays, apply fluoride varnish or sealants. And then there's also another thing called silver diamine fluoride, which is a treatment that can help prevent the cavity from growing. It sometimes makes like a stain on the tooth, so some folks don't like the look of it, but it really can help prolong the time frame from when you do need to get that filling or that cavity filled. And so that is, again, what the parent would have to choose what level or how many of those different services they would like their kid to have. And again, this is mostly just for students, not for any adults, only because pediatric mouths are different than adult mouths. Questions on that? No? Awesome. Just need this with me. Okay, so I kind of forget how I divided it up. That's okay. Okay, so just generally, obviously we've talked a lot about some of the benefits already, but some of the other ones we haven't highlighted are services at our school-based health centers are greatly discounted. As I noted, we want to make sure everyone has access to care. And so you can kind of see a breakdown of the cost, but primary care visits never exceed $45. So let's say someone has private insurance and their copay is $50. We will still bill their insurance, but we still won't make them pay more than $50. Their copay will then be slid to $45. And so we just really, and that includes students and staff and family members. We just want it to be an easy access for people to actually get the care they need. Behavioral health visits are never more than $15 a visit. And then dental visits are $25 a visit. So we just, again, really want to make sure there's that, that access. As noted, definitely being in the schools decreases time outside of schools and also decreases all the barriers that parents might face. Whether they can't take off time at work because of financial, they need to work it, they need work, or just the reality of like, well, I work 30 minutes away, so that would be a 3-hour journey for me to take them to a primary care appointment. Yeah, it's a great way to kind of identify physical and behavioral health issues early. We really encourage families to help their kids have wellness visits. I noted there that our primary care is 45, but we have like wellness visits, I think, are 25, thanks. Just to kind of encourage families to like get your child a wellness visit so that we can help detect things earlier. If there are any developmental delays, if they do have asthma or anything like, let's help them get that treatment early and just be in school longer. Yeah. I actually have an example that recently came up, like just last week. I was visiting the high school and checking in with the provider there. And she was telling me how just that day she did a well child check and identified the student had diabetes and that had to be managed because it was not managed at all. And so that could have posed a danger to the student. And we're very happy that we were able to capture that and then be able to start mitigating and taking care of that student. I mean, just anniversary, someone I know, her husband was dealing with some health issues, but they didn't have insurance and couldn't afford to be seen. And they have a daughter in school, so they went to a school district, to our school-based health center, and the providers will help him diagnose his Parkinson's and get all this treatment through it. So it's not just like children getting like their wellness visits and sports physicals, but it can even lead to like helping adults who can't afford the $300 out-of-pocket full fee primary care visit to help them also figure out what's going on. So it's a great resource.
It really is.
Yeah, I think we kind of noted on a lot of those. Yes.
I was looking at your brochure and I was noticing that you have in Summit County, you have facilities or locations at 3 of the elementary schools plus the middle school and high school in Summit County itself. Mm-hmm. And then in Lake County, you have the high school and the park district office. So I was curious about how that works when you have one at each of the locations or one of those districts, right? That have locations everywhere, or and how it looks compared to having just one for the whole district.
Jump in a little bit for that. Well, at least in Park County, since they have their elementary, middle, and high school all in one location,
true.
that works out very well for us because we just are housed in their admin office, and then our park can literally walk down the hallway to any of the schools and grab the student. Now for Lake County, we do have the main clinic which offers all 3 service lines in the high school, but then their intermediate school and their elementary school do receive behavioral health, and we do those dental screenings there. So really they would have to just travel to the high school for those primary care visits. And they are like, I would say within a mile or two, they're quite close together. So that does help alleviate the transportation burden, but you're right, it is not all within each school. And then in Summit, we try to have kind of a spread just based on the geography of our county. So Upper Blue Elementary is in Breckenridge, and that's like has all 3 service lines. Whereas Breckenridge Elementary only has behavioral health. And then as we come into Frisco, that's where we have the high school and the middle school. So that kind of covers the middle of the county area. And then we kind of split into 2, I would say like east and northeast-ish corners of the county. We have our Silverthorne Elementary School that kind of provides services to that northern area, and then the northeastern side is Dillon Valley. And so we do try to make sure we have all 3 service lines spread out as much as we can, and then where we don't, we try to provide at least 1 or 2 of the others through either behavioral health or dental.
I think it's worth noting, this is almost like the sad way to look at it, but we also care about the size of the student population. So like if there's only 70 kids at that school, it's gonna be really hard to always have a primary care provider fully booked. While a behavioral health provider, one behavioral health provider might only need like 20, 30 students, so it kind of depends also on the service line of how we do have to just like, in terms of like our own sustainability of can we actually fill a schedule. This hasn't been noted, but we never charge the schools to be in there. So truly our revenue through it and having it be sustainable is through the insurance revenue essentially, and grants plays a large portion of it.
That's a very valid point. Not a sad one, but a valid one. Like we do have to consider the number of.
Because you would then need all of the staffing at all of the locations.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something to do. And I think it's worth noting, like all of our staff structure, as I know, like we're 2 days a week here, 2 days a week there, they actually kind of flow. So we have like our BH provider flows between 2 or 3 elementary schools. Where they're 1 day a week here, 1 day, then 2 days. And then same with our medical providers, like we actually have one medical provider that's at Summit Middle School 2 days a week and Summit High School 2 days a week. And so a lot of them also work a day or 2 a week at our main clinic. So they have shifts at different locations essentially, which then helps us sustainably, but also where the school is not responsible for filling a full-time person schedule. And I guess that speaks to the governance. I, as the SHG director, kind of oversee the operations of all the schools, or not the schools themselves, but the clinics in the schools. You aren't the superintendent. But yeah, so you wouldn't, as a school, you wouldn't have to worry about hiring, firing, training, any of that. That all falls under me and my collaboration with the different service line directors to ensure that we're staffed.
What percentage of your funding is grants?
I would say overall, so we're close to a 60-40 split. So by 60%, we're talking about grants and fundraising dollars, things like that. And then 40% patient service revenue. That's different than most FQHCs across the state. Most FQs are 60% patient service revenue, 40% grants. So we don't have quite as much exposure on that. We're trying to evolve as an organization to where we're not quite as really reliant on as much grant funding, but that's kind of how it's been broken out so far. We have seen that come down slightly this year as we're seeing more sort of patients come in. We did go live with a new electronic health record through Epic in June. So,
Are you concerned at all about any of the federal, state aspects of things?
Yes, I do think about that all the time. So we've modeled out different scenarios here. The federal government shuts down next month. in October, and what that could look like for 30, 60, 90-day shutdown type of thing. So, but a lot of what was put in OBA was backloaded. So we see most of that impact starting in January of 27. So we are going to feel a lot of that pain right now. So we're trying to really sort of maximize what we're doing right and how to kind of better prepare us for, future cuts.
Thank you. So really, one, I guess before I I guess I can hop into next steps, but really the biggest next step is seeing what your thoughts are. Is this something that you guys have an interest of us pursuing? If it is, kind of what it would look like is we would want to conduct a survey, ideally with your parents in your district, or specifically, like, let's say you guys said, let's start with the middle school, high school, then maybe we can target that group instead, or we can kind of figure that out. But we really want to identify, okay, parents, would you actually utilize this service? Would this actually help answer some of the problems you're having? Just kind of getting an actual feel for the community need. And then we would want to host either monthly or bi-monthly advisory committees. We'd want to put together a group. Ideally, we'd have a member of the school board. I guess it's not necessary, but like at least the principal of the school we'd be going into, ideally some staff, and then maybe some parents. Community members would be welcome as well. But to really kind of look through, just truly getting into the weeds of it, talking about, like, okay, what does this look like in this school? Do we want to offer all 3 service lines? Okay, we do. How will that logistically work? Should we do 1 day a week or 2 days a week? Where would we be located? Kind of those things. We'd have this group who would just lead, that Han and I would probably co-lead, probably monthly or bi-monthly. And through that, we would get to the point where we would then get full board approval to open it. And also we would need to work on doing our own business plan and making sure we got our board's approval to open it. So I guess really expressing interest to take the first steps is not you're in, it's okay, so we're actually going to pursue this conversation and really dig in deep and see if there's something we can do. But yeah, I guess what questions do you guys have for us about a school-based health center program? Concerns, questions, interests?
Have you ever considered setting it up, not necessarily in a school, but maybe in a spot that's more centrally located within a school district?
I don't know if it is.
Yeah.
When you talked to George Marlin, I
Right.
think you talked about the health center in
Yes.
Idaho Springs.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
And
yes.
that came up, we had a conversation. George, was that last week? We had a conversation with the superintendent in Grand County recently, and he used to be further west. Was that
He's in like the Salt area.
Yeah, he was out there, and he mentioned that they had consolidated and moved it to more of a central location out of the schools, and it actually was better for them, they said. So once that took place.
But I think for them, it's also more like a family resource center, so they felt
Yeah,
that
right.
their, clients weren't they felt more comfortable going to an out-of-school location so that they wouldn't be seen going into this building. I guess it also depends on.
I think there's I think that there'd be I think we are open to a lot of options of being not just in the schools. We do rely heavily on grants, as Josh noted, and there is a grant through the state of Colorado that supports school-based health centers. That one is required to be part of the school.
That's what I was
Right.
wondering
Yeah.
as well.
So like certain grant funding we cannot get. Now there are ideas of like having a mobile clinic or having like being in a tent building like outside of the school building but on school campus. We just haven't actually done that before. It's not something that's like off the table, but I know that a lot of school districts have expressed like, well, we don't really want our students to leave the school building to get to, even though you're in the parking lot. So that's kind of why that conversation has never truly gone anywhere. But that technically would count for the grant.
How much space is required within a school?
Great question. It depends on how many service lines you would like. So generally, for behavioral health, we would like a room with a closed door so that there's privacy. They like having like a chair, sometimes for play therapy, like a sandbox type thing is helpful to have in the middle. So not a very huge room, but also not quite a small closet. Now, depending on the school, like we have a very small dental hygiene room with a chair at the high school.
It's the size of the table, I think.
It's very
maybe a
small.
foot bigger.
Ideally, it would be larger than that, but for dental, we would need a non-porous floor surface and room for that chair and access to a sink. And I guess for one of the elementary schools at Silverthorne I'm thinking about, we actually have got a classroom repurposed where they have the corner by the sink is the dental area, and then our behavioral health therapist uses the rest of the room, but we just alternate days on what's there. And it's quite a big room, so we wouldn't need that big of a room. That one's kind of luxurious, we'll say. And then for primary care, and again, this also depends on the school. We have some chairs that can double, right, as a primary care chair, and then it can turn into like a dental chair. So it really is either one room with that chair, and we just alternate what days we bring what service line, or two different spaces for primary care and dental. But really, for behavioral health, we would need a separate area.
We were talking about the chair and stuff. Is that the expense of that from you on your side, or is it something the school is for?
Everything would be on us. Really, the thing that the school would provide is the space.
And would you need any special access, or would your staff kind of come in the building when everybody else is coming in the building? I mean, I know we talked about summer hours and all of that, but aside from that, just kind of standard business, are you just open when we're open and?
That's a great question. That's also somewhat customizable for the school. I know some schools are done at like 2 or 3. We usually have our services until 5. But again, that can, be up to the school when they would like us in the building. Most of the schools that we're in, we have a key fob access, and that can usually be limited by time. So usually we can't enter before 7:30, and we can't enter after 5:30. And those are signed out on like a case-by-case basis. Not anyone willy-nilly, but like, okay, this person needs this access on these days, and so on.
And I do know that it is nice when we can have access specifically for immunizations. Because like if the power goes out and then it's out, we like to grab those immunizations and make sure they don't expire. But really that's like the biggest purpose, is power outages. Like in Leadville, in Park County actually, there's a lot of power outages.
Yeah.
So like
we have like a backup battery and generator thing, but that only lasts so long. So having the access to kind of run in there and save those really does help. Yeah.
but it's not a like make or break it. Right.
I get it. Thank you very much. I think it's very interesting and feels like something that our community would benefit from, our staff would benefit from, our kids for sure. I love the idea of the convenience of all of it and not having to miss so much school. I'm a parent that ends up having to take a half day, full day off for the 10-minute appointment. And so it's kind of frustrating. And then the school physical element is also, at least for me, always frustrating. And so it just feels like there's lots of parent frustrations that go away by having this level of service. So for me individually, I have a lot of interest in this model, and I think it's a really nice benefit to a community. And I really love the customizable elements where you can make this make sense for the population. And so I'm really interested myself, and I really thank you for your good presentation. Yeah, I also think that it's a great idea. I think I've heard more complaints, read more complaints online within this community about a lack of primary care services without having to drive down the hill. I think that would absolutely fill a huge need, especially if it were available to families as well. Something interesting to consider for the school district is that because we don't have school on Fridays, we could talk about customizable, maybe parents and families can come in on Fridays, so that it's not interrupting the school day, and that Monday through Thursday could be for, students and staff.
Or even if you wanted to open it up to public on Fridays, if there's no students. It's another alternative. Totally customizable.
Right, so different options there. We also have, and I'm running separately because I'm also on this board. Different board for Resilience 1220. So we are on that board. We're a local nonprofit that provides, therapy and everything, free therapy services for teens ages 12 to 20. And so if the school district moves forward with this concept, I would love to see kind of a coordination of that, because they can get 10 free services first through that organization and then transition to care under you for obviously that nice low price.
Yeah, and
But we would love for them to use the free services they're offered first.
And we can definitely work out a referral system, and we work closely with the school counselors as well in the other schools that we're in. We'll get referrals or work handoffs from them. Yeah, we can definitely do a collaboration.
And I feel like it's maybe with me in Lake County or in Leadville. In our space, there's also an office for Solvista, another mental health provider there. And so we actually tag team with Solvista with like if our providers hold from Solvista, and so we really work closely. And that's actually what the school district does. Like, okay, mental health need is greater than just one provider. And so that is something as a school district you guys could also consider. And for us, school-based health centers would not be possible without strong partnerships.
Yeah.
And so the reality is we want there to be a partnership.
So, do you have an estimate of how many appointments you need in order to make one provider covered? Yes.
We can get that.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on the mix too, or the service lines being provided, so.
I would say our average is probably 7 to 10 students a day, which isn't a lot for primary care. Yeah. At least what I'm like trying to visualize the last few schedules, and I don't believe that's a full schedule, so we could probably fit more. That's just what I've seen recently. I remember definitely.
Behavioral health, typically like a single provider caseload for, I believe like a 2-day week is like 30 to maybe 30 to 40 cents. That 40 might be too high. But, so if you think of a school, I mean, there's a caseload could probably easily fill with mental health. It'd be more of the primary care. And dental, kind of how dental works, which I think it's just really cool. How we do is when parents enroll, we get at the beginning of the year, like, okay, these are the 200 kids whose parents want them to have cleanings. And so we intentionally schedule, like, all right, we're going to get all of them in for their cleaning. And then it's like, okay, well, none of these kids need it now for another 4 months because we've got them all in 2 months. And so they'll need their cleaning in 6 months. So we actually won't show up if there's no cleanings needed until they're all due again for that 6-month visit. So really, the sustainable exact program is really based on truly, like, do we have enough patients to, have those schedules? And we always schedule when patients are due for their cleanings, really.
But about half the time you do cleanings, you need follow-up for a cavity or.
So we don't do the cavities in our school-based health centers.
Oh, gotcha.
Because that would have to be a dentist. But we do refer out to a local provider or to our own, whichever one.
That makes sense.
And that parent always gets a phone call from our dental team, like, hey, I'm pretty sure your kid has a cavity. And it's a registered hygienist in it. And so if the parent allows us to do the digital x-rays, our dentists back in Frisco review those x-rays and can identify, like, yes, that's a cavity. And so then we can be educated and call the parent and be like, hey, your kid does have a cavity on a molar and it's pretty big,
And we can apply that silver diamine fluoride to it if that's been, to kind of prevent that growth of the cavity. But I was going to say, they do get sent home with a little, like, report card that parents can review and see, like, what the potential treatment is.
Well, I've just got to say, I've worked in Summit County for a number of years, and I've seen your service help multitudes of families. Some of my employees have depended on it and probably would not have gotten the service otherwise. So, seeing that already in play in Summit County, when I was looking at it earlier, I didn't realize it was the same thing. I didn't know if it was a different name.
Oh, yeah. That was another part of the
Wait a
rebrand.
second. These are the same people that were great. Okay, good.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that this is a definite, we should, and thank you, we should be looking at this for our community. The stress levels that parents go through to get their kiddos through a physical every year is, I hide when that time.
I know. It is wild. We are like determined that, we have like scheduled days. We're like, sports physical day. Come on, get them all.
Yeah.
in and get them
Right,
done.
exactly.
It's
And
wild.
how cool would that be? So I think that as a board, it's something that we should continue to look at.
Well, that's good, because when I met with you, it felt like, why is it not here already? So thank you so much for coming and talking with us today and for just all the good that you're doing already. So thank you.
And we're happy to come back to future meetings. If you want us to come back, just let us know. We're just sort of, standing by.
So do you have
What's next?
past surveys that you've used with parents so that we
Yeah.
can get feedback that is helpful to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I feel like
Part
that's-
of the,
That's next step.
Yeah.
right?
yep, yeah, I mean, that would, and so we could start working on that. I mean, if I was done within a couple weeks to send out. And it's, yeah, gosh, there's so many ways to go about it, but I feel like surveys are a great next step. And then I think the next step, which I think could happen simultaneously, is actually figuring out who would be interested in being a committee. And that could be part of the survey, like, hey, would you be interested in being part of, like a ongoing committee that meets monthly to help us establish this care. You know, to where we can start attracting people. But then also for you guys, if you know of any parents or any of you are interested, like, I would love that.
And community partners, we're really interested in working, like we were talking about,
Yeah.
collaborating with the
Yeah.
behavioral health or, yeah.
I think you should do a survey, and I think it's important to connect with staff. I
Yeah.
think anytime that we can provide a benefit that takes some stress off for them, I think is also really nice.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that we survey both populations, if
And
that's
have it
something everybody
separate.
else agrees to, but I would think that would be a really great next
Yeah.
thing to do, and I don't think you need any formal direction from us other than I see all of the heads or not. So-
Do you want us to manage the survey process, or do you all want to manage that?
You kind of seem like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah.
You write it, we send it?
Yes, we'll do that. That would actually be perfect.
It would be nice if you guys could help us send it because they
Yeah,
know
of course.
who you are.
Of course, and we can
Yeah.
get it out.
Random,
Yeah. I think we can do that.
I mean, that feels good.
Yeah.
and
I mean, we're
feels
volunteering you, Wes.
showing
Is that
some
cool?
partnership right off.
I don't think else I'm doing.
Yeah. It was actually fun. I was part of opening up Upper Blue Elementary School, and we also did a needs assessment within the student body, and it was an elementary school. And the student or the counselor took me around, and we like interviewed the kids. We had a fun activity of like, okay, if you and your friend were to need to talk to someone about something that was going on in your life, what would you talk about? And they all got to like write little notes, and we got to collect those. And we did all these fun activities to even just do it with the kids to identify what they would need and what they see. And I know, at least for us to actually get the grant, for us to add it, is they would want to see a needs assessment. And so that's something we would run and operate, and the survey would heavily influence that.
So are you guys okay with me working through with them with the survey and
Yes,
moving forward
please.
on next steps, keeping you informed of what they want to do so that you
Yeah.
have a.
I
think we have
assume you'd
general
like to.
consensus.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having us. I know, it's great. And please email us anytime with any questions
Will do.
that pop up.
Thank
We'll-
you.
We'll be in
That's it?
touch. Yeah,
Yes.
Thank
Cool.
you.
thank you.
All right. So our other guests are from Lookout Mountain Water District. So we got Barb, Tim, and Will.
Will.
I was going to say Josh, but Josh is leaving us.
Yeah.
Whoops. You know what?
Is there a clicker?
No, it's not.
The slides?
It's not. I'm going to get the slides up.
Thank you for joining us today. So you need a longer table for 3 adults.
Okay, so, this is a look map, we're the Lookout Mountain Water District. Go ahead. Okay, I'm Barb Nevins, and I'm the president of the board for the district, and Tim Ross is one of the board members, and Will Ross is our district engineer. Oh, too far.
Oh.
Back up.
Yep.
Okay, these are just some quick facts about Lookout Mountain Water District history. The infrastructure was originally part of Golden's water system, which was built to deliver raw water, only raw water to Golden. So parts of the main water line are over 80 years old. Parts of it are tar lined, and most of it is oversized, diameters between 14 and 20 inches. And this worked for Golden's system because, again, it was raw water only. It was a gravity feed system that went down to Lookout Mountain Reservoir. Then it went down to their water treatment plant before it went into Golden. So that worked fine for them. However, in 1988, because of the Clean Water Drinking Act, where Golden was going to have to provide treated water to everybody in Lookout Mountain, they decided to abandon the system. And Lookout Mountain Water District was actually formed at that point specifically to take over the water system so that people up there would still have water. And since taking over the water system, the district has added a water treatment plant at the Lower Beaver Brook Reservoir. added a pump station and a 1,000,000-gallon storage tank at El Rancho. It's upgraded both of our reservoirs on Beaver Brook, the upper and lower Beaver Brook. And we've started to replace the old oversized tar line pipe that was originally installed by Golden. And the high school and middle school were not connected to the system until 2001. Okay, one of our biggest concerns and one of our biggest priorities, obviously, is to provide really good quality water to our customers. And we are currently in compliance, but we have a lot of challenges. And the challenges are primarily because of the length of our main line. It's a very odd district, but it's very long with not that many customers. And we have excessive pipe size, that far exceeds what we really need. That contributes to the excessive water age and increases the risk of the water quality issues. Plus, the tar line interacts with chlorine, which of course you have to have by state a certain chlorine level. And the TTHMs and the HA5 are a byproduct of chlorine with organic matter. And so the more chlorine you have that interacts with the tar line, and you get more of the TTHMs and the HA5s, which I know you guys are aware of, and you've been concerned about those as well. But there is no tar line pipe between water treatment plant and your system. However, we've had to resort to periodic flushing, actually rather regular flushing of our distribution system to maintain compliance. But it's a huge waste of treated water. We're paying to treat the water, we have limited water supplies, and we're being forced to flush the lines just to keep in compliance. Next. Okay, so we have a number of plans in place, and this summer, as you probably are already aware, we did replace 1,800 feet of 14-inch tar line pipe, and we replaced it with 8-inch PVC pipe. And next summer, 26, we plan to place 15,000 feet of 14 and 20-inch tar line pipe with 8-inch PVC pipe. But that creates a slight glitch because in order to, when we replace the 14 and 20-inch tar line pipe with 8-inch, we can no longer provide the same fire flow water to the high school. And so to ensure that adequate water supply is still available for firefighting here, our plan is to provide a dedicated water storage tank here on the school property. And we're going to talk about that some more. Next. So we feel it's really urgent to complete this project in 26. We need to improve the water quality provided to our customers as soon as possible. And so the irony is that because of the oversized pipe, to get fire flow up to the high school, it's dramatically impacting the quality of water to all of the rest of the customers because the pipes are too big. So it's a real irony there that to do one, we can't do the other. But to our replacement project that we want to do next year, it will reduce the cost of major emergency leaks and repairs to the older pipe because it's old and we have a number of fairly large and leaks, breaks. They're always an emergency. It costs a lot of money. And we're also losing a lot of water from both major and minor leaks associated with the older pipe. We really would like to stop flushing our water line and wasting all of that water. And also, bottom line, we seek an appropriation from Congress for $959,000 for replacement of, specifically for replacement of tar line pipe. That's all thanks to Brittany Pedersen. But we need to use it before it either is canceled or expired. So we really need to get on with this project.
Do you know how much water you're losing right now?
It depends.
How much we're flushing at 20 gallons a minute at the end of the line into Lookout Mountain Reservoir.
And that's just the flushing, that's not the leaks.
No, I'm talking about the I&I, the leaks.
Oh, the
Like,
leaks?
what you're losing in your leaks.
It's dramatically been reduced. I mean, we were producing well over 100,000 gallons a day for water. But now we're down to 50, 60, 70,000 gallons a day just with what we've done so
That is
far.
significant.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work on trying to
And
find.
the irony is that now the water sits in the pipe longer because there's less of it going through there. So, we
The water
sort of
quality is worse.
created we worsened the problem a little bit by fixing the problem. Yeah.
It's like whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
So how is the high school and the middle school going to be impacted? So currently, in the event of a fire, most of the required water backflows from our million-gallon tank, which is located in Bergen Park, right by the Walmart. And after we replace the oversized main line with 8-inch pipe, we won't be able to do that. So what we're planning to do is, put the tank at the school to take care of that. And I'll go to the next one. Oh, so Tim's going to talk about the aerial view of what we're talking about, what we're looking at.
So this slide, I'm sure they all recognize, is the school. And we're proposing to put the tank where the blue circle is, where it says proposed water tank location. And that's the area I think is currently being used for storing sand and gravel in the event that it's needed on the roads. And it's already leveled, and it's probably a very good place to put a tank because it's a higher elevation in the school, which is a benefit. So you got, next slide, please. This is the original design for the school before it was built, but we confirmed that it was, the as-built are very similar to this. And the blue dot is still where the tank would be. And the red lines are the current water distribution system. The line on the right-hand side that goes up and then to the left is the main feed line that comes off of our service line. And it's a 10-inch line. And where it splits right next to the school, the south split goes down past 2 fire hydrants, which are the yellow hexagons. And then at the end of that, there's a 2-inch line that goes down to a building that's in the middle part of the football field. Imagine that's sell food and stuff there during the school games. And then the line going to the north and then going across the front end of the school has 2 fire hydrants on it. And then the main feed line is that line that comes into the school. It says water feed line in the building. And from there, it splits into the water sprinkler system and into the potable water system. So our current conceptual proposal is to separate the fire hydrants and the sprinkler system from the potable water system. In other words, we would connect the tank to the red loop that goes around the school and then run a new line from the service line that comes up to the school, run it around to feed the potable water. So in the event the tank would not be used except in the case of a fire. And then if there was a fire, your sprinkler system and fire hydrants would be provided the quantity of water at the right pressure to fight fire.
Are you planning on moving this 10-inch service line to an 8-inch PVC line also?
That's your line.
That's your line.
Oh, that's ours, so
Yeah.
that is what it is.
Yeah, our line is quite a distance away from that.
Yeah,
And we'll
the
discuss that.
the service line for the school is actually a half a mile long, which is really long. Yeah.
So the way I'm understanding the explanation, if in the event one of the lines that we're replacing later on does go kerplunk and we need water and you gotta shut down the water, we wouldn't be able to use the tank water.
No,
So
that is not potable.
It's not potable.
Once it goes in that
Just
tank,
wanna make
it
that clear.
cannot be used for
Right.
potable water. Any questions on that?
Can we put fish in it?
So as I reported to the board, the state fire chief is not accepting this plan as it's written right now.
We're in discussion.
So I'm looking forward to hearing how, because his guidance was that it has to be pressurized water and be sufficient to actually outlast what we're currently getting from
Yes,
you all.
Exactly.
As far as service water for the sprinkler systems in the building, not just to provide water for the fire hydrants or for gravity feed to a fire truck. He's requiring it to be pressurized and be much more substantial
Yep.
than was proposed.
Yep.
Okay.
Our current conceptual plan would be to have 100% of the water required for firefighting come from the tank. I think when we talked with you earlier, we
Mhm.
talked about splitnesses. And it would require a pump to achieve the required pressure.
So that's in addition to the pump now and increase the
There would
amount
be
of
a
water.
new fire pump, different from the one that you have.
Yeah, you would no longer need the fire pump that you currently have. But we would need a fire pump on this to create the pressure.
So that would solely provide all the water for fire suppression of the
Yes.
building
Yes,
and the increased amount of water it would hold from the original plan.
Yeah, so the tank would be 180,000 gallons, which is 1,500 gallons per minute for 2 hours.
Right.
And that feeds both the sprinkler and the fire hydrant. So if they did it all from the fire hydrants, they could get it. If they just let the fire sprinklers run, I think is it 780 gallons a minute?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is your max fire sprinkler demand. So to be able to meet that as well.
And
So
he's
that,
preliminarily okay with that right now?
at the moment, that appears to meet the criteria.
Okay.
and it would be really no different than what you have.
Exactly.
Right.
Because you have a fire pump down there that provides all that.
It pumps the water up to the
Right.
school.
Up to the
And-
school.
I think part of the
But a
problem
limited
is when you're going to
supply.
split the two, the sprinklers, and keep that on a different system and have the tanks just provide the hydrant. So I think that, as I say, we're in discussions and we're,
We've learned a lot through this process.
yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Next slide.
So here's a tank similar to what we would put there on that spot. And the tank, because it's used for firefighting, is required to be insulated, has to be heated so it won't freeze in the winter. And it'll be kept full and isolated from your potable water supply. And if you ever used it, we would have somebody, we probably assist, because we assist you now with flushing your lines and stuff. It has to be refilled. It's not going to be permanently connected to your potable water system because that creates sanitary issues.
How is it heated?
Pardon?
How is it heated?
There'll be a heater in the water with thermostat, and if the water gets below
What's the fuel source for heating?
electric,
And it would only go on given certain temperatures, it wouldn't be on all the time.
But in the winter time, I could see that bill getting fairly substantial for our school. I've seen the water bill for our railroad tank, for instance, it has its own little separate meter for it, but, that cost, that expense is something that would concern me. And put solar on
it
it?
wouldn't, it doesn't come on, ideally, it's to be set up so it's based on the water temperature. You got an isolated tank.
Right.
So if you have nights that are going down into the 20s, days or warmer, water temperature is staying above freezing, just because it's cold, the air is
It's
cold
true, it
outside.
does hold a lot of water.
It holds a lot
Yeah.
of water.
Yeah, you're right.
So
Normal
it's
mass
not,
is better.
it's probably not as much as you're imagining it would be, but it's, yes, it will be a cost.
But it will not be running on a regular basis, most likely.
Are there any restrictions to what you can put on the outside of the tank? I mean, it's super gorgeous, I think we would all agree, but it might look even better with maybe the bigger logo.
Well, the last bullet point there is what we would propose is that once it's built and in service, that the ownership will transfer to the school.
And you can do whatever you would like. You can paint it however, and decorate it however you would like.
As long as you don't damage the insulation.
And if anything were to happen to the tank, or if there are any deficiencies with the tank in any way, shape, or form, if the transfer of ownership is to us, does that leave you guys off the hook, or are you guys going to take care of that?
It would be your
3
tank.
hours.
So our big maintenance to maintain the pump.
And I think there's some, we could get into that, there's some warranty comes with the tank, and obviously that would transfer.
As well.
Yeah, I want more information.
Next slide. Okay, so we think actually this is a huge benefit to the school because you will have a dedicated supply of water on site for firefighting, and you're not entirely dependent on us and our infrastructure. Because if right now you're completely dependent on, well, you're dependent on our million-gallon tank, which for various reasons we almost never keep full. I mean, we fluctuate it because of our water quality problems. So if, for instance, there's a problem with the treatment plant and they're not filling up the tank, or the tank happens to be during a fluctuation that's not particularly full, or we have another major break and we've drained everything because we have a major leak, which actually did happen, last summer? We can't actually guarantee that we would be able to get you sufficient water. In addition, if there are fires going on down on Lookout Mountain and we're using water out of the tank to fight those fires, again, there may not be adequate water to send all that water up here as well. This way, you have a dedicated supply up here that you know nobody else could use. And depending on our final design, again, we're in the planning stages, we're in conversations, but depending on what the final design is, I know that you've expressed concern about the water quality here, which really is a result of the length and the diameter of your water pipe. I mean, it's much larger than it needs to be for just the potable water. And so your water age is significantly higher than is ideal. And depending on what our final design is, if we really do have all of the fire suppression water, the hydrants and sprinklers coming off the tank, then there's no reason that the school system, at your leisure, at your, whenever you decide, that you could reduce the size of your line. And you could reduce it down to, I'm not sure whether it's a 4 or 6 inch, but no.
4 inch. What we're looking at. For drinking water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if it's really a 4 inch, you could probably even slip line your current line. But anyways, that is a potential benefit for you, that you could then go ahead and do that, which would improve your water quality.
And then we would still use that to fill the tank.
Yes.
We have our facility director. If he's online, he has a question.
Hey, Aaron.
Hi, Barbara and everyone.
Hi, Aaron.
I was just wondering, is the proposed pump a combustion-powered pump or is it an electric pump?
So what?
Aaron, can you talk a little louder?
Sorry, is that any better?
Not really.
I did write in the messages, but is the proposed pump a combustion pump or an electric pump?
Hold on, Aaron. We're going to pull
Is it a combustion pump or an electric pump?
His question is the proposed pump a combustion-powered pump or electric?
And I think we could, that could be open for discussion. As you know, the pump you have now is an engine-driven pump, and it makes some sense to do that here as well.
natural gas.
But primarily because once you get into, a fire pump, electric motor is going to be like 300 horsepower. It's going to require probably a brand new electrical feed. It's going to be subject to electrical power. You'll have to have a backup generator anyways. So I think we could probably easily kind of focus in and saying that an engine-driven pump is probably the best up here, because you'll have battery power and that thing will start if you don't have any power on site.
Which with the fire may be real.
Right.
Next.
Aaron, any other questions? Oh, he's back muted.
He texted you.
Oh.
Okay, so the plan going forward is that we will continue to work with Clear Creek County Schools and Evergreen Fire and Rescue. We've had several meetings with them. We'll have several more. Colorado Division of Fire, and we will be hiring a fire protection engineer to make sure that any system we come up with is acceptable and complies with all the applicable regulations.
State regulations.
Yeah, so yes, absolutely. We will be working with all the different groups. And we have a ballot measure election in November asking for district members to support an increase in property taxes to pay for a portion of next summer's proposed mainline upgrade. If it passes, we are planning to move forward next summer. If it doesn't pass, we're going to have to regroup and figure it out. But assuming it passes, we would like to start construction of the water tank and modifications to the distribution system in early spring and be ready to start at the beginning of summer when school is let out. So we have all summer to make headway on this. And start the mainline repairs immediately after the water tank and the modifications to the distribution system are completed. So basically, this
You got
is
a
to.
question?
I'll let you done.
Basically, this was to just let you know what we're thinking, what our plans are, what we're thinking of doing, why we're thinking of doing it, why we think it's really important, why we think it actually will be of benefit to you in the long run, and so that nobody's blindsided. We're figuring out what the problems, the questions, the concerns are as we go along. No plans are set. We are definitely in the planning stage. And so we wanted to come to you and just present this and see what your questions or concerns are.
I
Go forward from there.
greatly appreciate the fact that you have modified the plans based on the fire marshal's and fire chief's recommendation at the state level. It was a very interesting conversation having with him in the midst of everything.
Well, it turned out that was based on a miscommunication.
So that being said, I felt that our conversation that I had with the vice president of your board, based on the emergency situation we were dealing with when the state fire chief came to us and said that he was going to shut things down here, and we were only given one option, was to do a fire watch, even though we have a fire monitoring system here, suppression system. And the relationship that I felt that we had was really tested at that time because I was told, it's your problem, not my problem. And I said, you have no consideration of supporting us or talking to us or anything. Nope, you're on your own. And so I left that feeling like, well, is that where we are as far as our relationship? And so I still don't have a response. I wasn't invited to your board meeting for September still at this point. He was told me I was going to be invited to that.
I was not aware of that.
And so it concerns me going forward. And my recommendation is for us to really consider this significantly because I was one talking to the fire chief about the proposal. And when he says, we're done, and I was put in a situation like, well, I got to keep the school open. I'm going to pull people off of their jobs to do this fire watch. And when I call and I get the response I received, it's very concerning.
And I greatly apologize for that. It turns
appreciate
out
that.
Tim, Kyle, and I were all on vacation
You
out
were.
of the country.
You were. And so I was given him to be the contact.
Yeah. So I really apologize. I was not aware of that. And it turns out, we found out when we met with the fire district the other day, that whole thing came about because of a miscommunication between the fire department and the state.
Right, because the person you were working with no longer works for the fire department, my understanding. The fire marshal, is that the person you're working with, the fire marshal for the Evergreen?
The person we were working with was John Sebastian.
Yeah.
And he's the one that sent the email to Mike Garitano.
Right.
Yeah, and so when I read the email, it's so vague, it didn't really convey what was actually going on.
Okay.
And I did talk to Mike directly. And I think we addressed his concerns. He still wanted the fire watch. I think he was told that there's no fire alarm, there's no water, you're out of water.
No, we told them all those things were in place.
Yeah. But and understandably, like we do have a limited water supply, which I think we've conveyed to both the
Which you
fire
shared, right?
department and you guys as well, because
Right.
That's why we had the
we
tank here.
recognize that could be an issue
Right.
for you guys.
Right.
Yeah,
Now,
we had the
whenever
tank
I've
here.
had to put one of my buildings on fire watch, I have to calculate the number of hours and all of the things that we expended for the fire watch. Are we gonna get reimbursed for that fire watch activity that we had to go through?
We have not discussed that. I mean, and it turns out that John Sebastian said the email he sent to Mike was about a question about the project next summer. It had nothing to do with the current project because, we had talked to you, we had talked to them. Everybody was happy as long as the tank was in place. They were totally fine with it. So yes, there was complete breakdown in communication. and things got blown way, way out of proportion. And I deeply apologize for that.
So I look forward to meeting with your board at some point to convey my concerns. I appreciate you responding on their behalf, but I just feel like just the way I was treated during this situation. I have fire, state fire chief staying right there, and I'm trying to go in the corner and say, how are we going to resolve this? And it's like, not my problem.
Okay.
I just like, well, this is how our relationship's going forward. It's going to concern me about like how you're going
I can
to.
appreciate that.
Right.
And unfortunately, he had never been involved in any of these discussions. And I think he was completely blindsided.
Right.
Like, well, what?
Right.
Still no excuse for his response, but I think he was completely taken unaware and totally blindsided.
Okay.
Because everybody else was out of the country.
I
Right.
think you would have got a different response from anybody else.
Yes, you definitely would have.
I appreciate that. It's just when you're in the moment,
Yeah.
Yes.
and I've got a building full of students and staff, and my job is to protect their safety, and I'm dealing with the fire chief telling me what he's telling me.
Yeah.
And I'm calling everybody to get a hold of, say, what is our plan?
Yeah.
It's very concerning.
And the problem is there shouldn't have needed to be a plan because
Right.
it was never about the project this summer. It was about next summer.
I look forward to
I've
talking
got
to you.
another question for you over here.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you're picking up that there's some concern, maybe relationship concern, maybe project concern, but general concern. And mine is really thinking about, it feels like there's a pretty significant transfer of liability that is happening that we're not really talking about. And it seems to me that right now, you have a lot of liability to make sure our buildings are safe in the event of a fire. And that you're going to pay to ensure that those pieces are put in place. And I'm reading this presentation that entire shift of liability is going to come to the school district, and we're going to be responsible for maintaining the tank, paying for the electricity to keep the tank, all of the rest of these pieces. And so I'm curious, what is the benefit to you by us making this switch? Because I'm not totally sure I buy the benefits that you laid out. I think you're required to provide water to us if our building is on fire. And so I'm really wanting to understand what is this undertone message of it? And is it that you don't want to serve us water in an emergency? You don't want to pay for the tank? I mean, I just feel like there's something that we're not quite getting here that is concerning when we couple that with kind of our superintendent's experience, our experience with water quality. So I feel like we are just not getting a full and complete story when we meet with you. And so now I'm concerned that there is a legal and a financial liability that we are going to take on in our partnership.
Our whole reason for doing this is to try and improve the water quality to every other customer other than you. And that truly is bottom line. We need to get rid of the tar line pipe. We need to get rid of the oversized pipe. Those are the only two things that we can do to help improve water quality for every single customer on Lookout Mountain. Those are the only two things. And in order to achieve that, it means that the line to get from our 1 million gallon tank up to here isn't going to work anymore.
And I guess my pushback is, I'm not sure that's our problem. You know, you talk about when we were tied into the line, well, that's when we existed. So we wouldn't have been tied into a line
before
when we didn't
2001.
exist. We weren't here then. And so I understand that your job is all of the customers. Our job is us and our customers, which are our students and our teachers. And so I appreciate you're looking at a holistic picture. We're not. We're looking at our picture, our piece within that. And so my question stands really.
I can chime in. So one of the district is under an enforcement order from the state. So we have to do something to address water quality. And we've done absolutely everything else we can. The thing we can't change is the water age. And then the only way to do that is to replace the pipe with a smaller pipe. And so, for instance, the stretch from the plant down to the storage tank takes 5 days for water to get down there. By reducing the pipe size, we can reduce that to 1.5. That's a significant reduction in the water age, and that's going to be a significant improvement in water quality. Yeah, we said we would do it in enforcement order to address water quality, and it's the last thing we can do to make any substantial improvement in water quality for all of the other users on the system.
I find it hard to believe that the enforcement of making sure that the water quality happens has to mean that you're not providing enough water for the fire safety of our school.
But that's what the tank plant is for. You will
Yes, but
still
again,
get-
that brings all the liability and all of the expense to our district on our land. It's not really our business. But it's your responsibility.
Well, and I don't think it changes the liability all that much because you guys rely on a fire pump right now,
which is yours.
which is your, and you
Right, but you're
maintain that.
providing the water to it.
All we're doing is putting,
It's
instead of
already
having
there.
the water up on a tank on, behind the Walmart, having the tank up there, we're putting it on site. There'll be a similar, engine-driven pump there that would pressurize the system and provide both the sprinklers and the fire hydrants with the adequate flow of water. So I think it's not that different. I don't think there's any more liability for you guys. There's probably more operational costs with having the tank on site and having to maintain that, but the pump's still there. You don't need the pump down at the other pump house anymore, because you wouldn't need to have that kind of flow coming up from the system. It would be provided by the separate fire dedicated system.
So maybe in the spirit of solutioning and trying to find a path forward, is there a universe where you would perhaps consider that you own the pipe, you pay for, or the tank, and we let you put it
lease
on
you
our
the
property,
property.
and you can put it on our property, but you own it, you maintain it, you pay for it, you are responsible
fill
for
it.
delivering the non-potable water in an emergency like you are now, just closer.
Right. It's the same thing, right?
You'd have the same protection, yes.
And we would have the same
The left-
financial
yeah,
burden
exactly.
that we have right now.
Right.
Is that something that your board might consider?
We would consider. But it being on your property, yeah, we just thought that it's yours to decorate however you want, to do whatever you want, that it would become yours, your property.
Yeah, I understand. I think our challenge is we have one facilities guy. We have an entire school district that he is responsible for. We do not have water expertise. We couldn't figure out how to do a fire watch with our limited staff. And so it feels as though our operations aren't really being considered by your organization. And what our mission and our purpose is to educate kids, not to manage water tanks. We don't have that expertise. Feels more in your valley than ours.
Absolutely.
But I do think we need to continue to think about options, because it feels like this feels to me like a take it or leave it. And I don't really like either of those options. And so I'm curious what else we might be able to think about, because obviously maintaining life safety of our students and our educators is paramount. And I know it's important to you, and making sure good water quality is happening to us and all of your other customers is important. So I think we all want the end result, and I think we agree that we want an improvement. I just am not sure this is the path that gives us the security that we need moving forward. I think it helps you guys tremendously and has a big benefit for you. And I'm just struggling with where our benefit is. Maybe we can talk more in depth.
And I guess I'm still not understanding why you think you're not getting any benefit. You get the same water protection, the same amount of water protection. You still get the 1,500 gallons per minute for 2 hours that you get now.
Yeah.
You still get that.
But now, if the tank electric water heater breaks, we don't know or have to deal with that. Or the cost of owning a big structure that we don't have right now, we don't have that right now. now. And so, you know, I don't feel like our water consumption or thoughtfulness around water changes, but our bills are gonna change. And our potential legal liability will change if, say, we don't have a guy to go peek in and make sure there's enough water in the event of a fire, and then we don't have it, that's gonna be on us because it's our tank. And so I feel like there's some big questions that I'm not comfortable with, either where the answer is or that there isn't one yet. And so I think that's where my struggle is. And I think it's solvable, I really do, and I think there's a path for partnership, and hopefully a relationship can, we can try to put some Band-Aids on some of the bruises that we're feeling, I think, a little bit, and I do believe we can do that, because I do believe we all want the same thing at the end. But I think we would all benefit from a little bit more of a collaborative process.
Well, that's why we're here.
We talked about the fire washes, right? We didn't realize that if there's a problem until just recently, there was a problem with our water system that you guys had to do fire washes.
We do.
If we'd known that with our current system, you would be doing a lot of fire washing.
You're correct.
With this tank, you have your water on site. No matter what happens on our system, you don't have fire washes. So that's really, I think, a huge benefit for you guys and the safety of the children and the school by having a tank up here.
But 20 years from now, we're maintaining that tank.
Mhm.
And that's the problem. We have no money right now.
And you have to clean the tanks.
Once a year, you drain it and refill it.
So that's it.
Just chime in that I agree with everything. I mean, we just financially can't take on another financial burden. I just don't see how, if it doesn't fit. So if we could come up with an agreement or, to use our land, but use your tank. I think it fits best for our district at this time.
Okay, so.
Is there a map of your water line on your website? Where it
I don't know if
splits?
there's a map of the whole
Yeah.
water line, because it's about how many miles long?
Yeah, it'd be tough to put on anything that you could easily view. What's your question?
So I'm just wondering, so the size of the pipe coming out of your plant right now is a given size?
14 inch.
And there's a couple other homes that come off the line coming this way, but the
There's one other
majority are
home before
going
it
the
gets to
opposite. So where, I guess, does the line change, or where would the proposed change in diameter happen that is affecting the flow rate for us?
It would be going downhill, where County Road 65 is. We cross near the Evergreen Fire Department there.
Okay.
So that would be 8 inch. And then basically from there all the way to El Rancho. There's a couple spots that have already been replaced and whatever, but generally it's 15,000 feet of additional pipe that would be downsized.
Was that all the work that's on the side of the road around going to El Rancho, all that stuff on the side there, was that the pipe being?
That was 1,800 feet that we just
Okay.
did. Yeah, that was a
Okay.
project we were doing this summer.
And that 1,500 or 15,000
15,000.
okay, is the tar lined pipe?
It is, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's the oldest pipe. It's in, some of it's from 1942.
And there's not an option to just reline the pipe, not replace it? So we're not
Well,
reducing?
it doesn't address our water age.
Still too big.
Okay.
Still,
Yeah.
It's
still
the water.
doing
Okay.
It's the water age too. I mean, the tar lining, which is something we just found out in 2002, or not
During a break.
2002, 2022.
22, yeah.
As we were repairing some other pipe, I just took a look at it. I'm like, what is this? Like, this is not normal pipe.
Yeah.
It's going back to it used to be a gravity system. It's not even designed for pressure. I mean, it's an 1/8 of an inch thick. A pressure pipe for steel would be 3/8 of an inch thick.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It's not just exploding all over the place. I think because it's got so much tar on the inside and outside, that's the only reason why this thing has lasted that long. So that's another thing is that it's kind of a timeline for us.
Yeah.
That this pipe could fail at any time.
Understandable.
So we're a very small water district. We've only got 550 clients. So any cost you throw back on us, which may be ultimately accept. Our customers have to pay for that,
Which means that we'll probably have to increase rates.
and we're not in the same district. That's why we'll get pushback from our customers if we add costs to them for a school that's not even in the same county that they live in. But we all have to deal with that. You'll get pushback, we'll get pushback. But one thought is there any way we can work together maybe about getting grants to help cover the cost of the tank?
I think we're taking a long-term maintenance of the tank because once you gift it to us, we're responsible for it. And that's not our field of expertise, is maintaining water tanks.
Right, but if we get if it costs us less to put the tank in, then our board and our customers are more likely to say, we should
Sure.
support the
Sure.
As a school district and the county, you might have access to some grants that we aren't. Or if we work together, you may be able to get some grants. I mean, we have beaten the bushes as far as we can,
Sure
trying to find any money we possibly can.
Right.
But I think maybe in collaboration with the school district, with the county, we may have access to some more grants and funds that we alone can't, particularly since you're not even in the same county as us.
So another thought I have, so is we've got a community here. What is the difference if we have a larger tank and we involve a community ask? Because they have no fire suppression system. But I don't know
if we want to get involved in that world. Yeah. That's interesting.
But I don't think that's our business. I mean, I think we could convene, but we're in the education business, not the water business. Not the fire suppression. I mean, fire suppression, yes, but we need to focus on the things we're good at doing, and like you guys focus on the things you're good at doing. But I think, Jessica, I think your point is really well taken, but I don't think that's on us to try to do that.
Nor do we have anything to do.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
So, would you like to come to our next board meeting?
I would love to.
It is the second Monday of every month
Thank
at
you.
8:30.
You'll just send me an invitation. I'll put it on my calendar. Thank you.
We'll try to mend fences.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
I definitely, heartily apologize.
It'll go a long way.
Sincerely apologize.
It is unfortunate because our board meeting was yesterday, but you wouldn't want to go because it was
No.
5 hours, over 5 hours. So,
We're getting
You
prepared for
might
tonight.
be. So,
Our board meetings, they have a lot of things going on, so they tend to be quite long.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
it. Thanks for sitting in the dark.
thank you.
All right. Jen.
She's over there sitting in the dark.
The light switches are all on. I don't know.
I know, it's the school. We maybe need some little lamps.
The library lamps.
Yeah.
Should we tell them? Am I only have 15 minutes? Okay.
Aha.
Okay.
Thank you, Heidi. Here they come. They're humming.
You hear the hum.
High pressure soup.
Thank you.
So does anyone have any questions for Jen?
I do have some. Anybody else? I know. And I'm sorry, Jen, I told you I wasn't gonna be able to get it to me, so I appreciate if you need to jot it down and answer later, that's totally cool. Fund 10, page 3, we'll see if I can read my notes. Brady Industries for $5,912 for gym shoe gloss floor finish. Does this have anything to do with our bond work on that floor?
It is, I believe it's under bond.
Fund 10 is bond work.
No,
Yeah.
let me see. Oh, no, I do remember Aaron asked me if the high school wanted to split the cost on that, and I'm not sure why, but it was not a bond project.
So I think we'd want to know whether or not it was a bond project and if it was the thing that considered warranty. And why is it in general fund and not the building fund?
How was this? I feel like
They
They did.
I'll just check with Aaron why we didn't charge the Brady Industries purchase to bond and why we did general fund instead.
I have the same exact question for page 5 of notes, $4,096.75.
Colorado hardwood floors.
Thank you.
It says gym floor, screen,
Gym,
and coat.
floor, screen, and coat, so I'm thinking they must be associated in some way.
Sure.
Yeah, and was it the same project?
Okay.
And again, the same question about why is it in general, not building?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
I think you might have answered this for Jessica, for the IT. I had the, because you could see this month we got double dinged for it, so I'm like, holy cow, 30-some thousand, what? But then when I dug into it a little more, I could see that, oh gee, it's only 17? Like, where are we at with savings compared to where we were last year? And is that $200,000 contract that we have with these folks, was that in our budget?
It's budgeted a little bit differently. It's under salary and benefits because we kept that placeholder.
Gotcha.
Instead of moving it to contract. It's very in line with the budget that we have. It's just instead of being under purchase services, it's under salary and benefits. And then depending on how we decide to move going forward, it may stay there or we may just move that budget next year to the contract service.
So
line.
with Ethan and his help, we were paying $200,000 a year?
Do you want me to jump in?
Sure.
Between Ethan, Sarah,
And Nate.
Nate, and we had Soaring Technologies doing our first line of tickets. So once we put all of that together, that's where we're paying now. Nate Knows It, which is Nate's company. Our savings is really going to come in the purchasing power of partnering with the 3 districts in terms of purchasing Chromebooks, getting off of Google Voice. So it's really going to be more in the technology than in the manpower.
So before we had a ticket system, what were we paying? We couldn't, I don't think we were paying.
We were paying salaries. is
We
what
were
I
paying
hear.
a couple of salaries,
salaries.
but it wasn't on a ticket system. We didn't purchase
We-
the ticket system.
We
until
had a
last year.
ticket system. When Sarah left,
Right,
we needed to bring in extra help for the ticket system.
right.
So that's when Soaring Eagle came in.
It's just Soaring.
Soaring, thank you.
Soaring
That's a
Technologies.
school we play, right?
The whole-
Sorry.
I just feel like whenever
but
we
we
make
didn't
a
have si-
change, it's a good idea to assess as we're kindly going along to see whether or not we're actually seeing the savings.
Sure.
Yes.
You know, kind of like what we did with the coffee.
Right, agreed, yeah.
And is the tech support working out well?
Are we getting the response rates that we expected?
It was a rough start to the school year,
It was-
but I think it would have been a rough start to the school year whether we had technology in-house or out-of-house.
But it's for the kinks are getting worked out.
The kinks are getting worked out.
I will send you an analysis of last year versus what we are going to do.
Oh,
this year.
fantastic, thank you. Send it to the group.
The cost of Soaring, was that pretty equal to Sarah's salary? Because we really didn't pay her at all last year
We paid her, I think,
for like a
I'd have
month.
to, right, yeah, I think it's like 3 weeks we had to pay her. Once she went on military leave, so like she started, we paid her salary, she went on leave.
Yeah.
Soaring was significantly cheaper.
Okay.
But I mean, we were faced with some challenges in, we go with what we went with, or we start from scratch.
Right. Thank you. Yeah,
And I mean, we're trying it this year and we will be assessing regularly.
Right, sure.
Thank you.
So the next question I have is on page 9 with work water services, and this is probably more of an Aaron question. $19,000 in 1 month bill is a lot, and a lot of this looks like maybe it's a lot of maintenance service type things. And so part of my question is, are we on a maintenance contract with anybody for any of our things yet?
Sure, and what was the vendor that you were looking at?
Or
Oh, work.
I would just chime on to that same vendor. I'm curious, given our last conversation, we have a large chunk of that 18,000 is an $8,000 charge for troubleshooting wastewater treatment plant. And I'm curious if there's any overlap with what we've just.
yeah, this is a big chunk of it. I mean, I know that we have a contract with Orc. It just seems like this is an awful lot. And maybe it was all summertime stuff and that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, you know?
Very few of
I
these are
don't
the
know.
traditional
Right,
I
get that.
charges, and what would be part of the contract? It must be a particular job that was done for the water treatment. I'll ask Aaron.
There's a lot of
More
pump
breakdown
stuff in
on
here
though.
too. I think we just need a little more information. on
Sure.
it.
He answered.
Oh, Aaron responded. He said ORC is contracted for maintenance of WWTP.
Okay, it's the wastewater treatment plant.
But they charged us $8,500 to troubleshoot it? That seems odd.
Oh, he responded.
I was reading.
No, I responded.
That's a great answer. And that's fine.
Or the most recent contract, and look back through the last few years of the contract file, and I don't see their
Okay.
for it.
You might know how to
I've
mute
seen this
everybody.
before, but I'm not quite sure what it's associated with, but it's the quantum competent controller.
Whoops.
Different fund. I'm going to fund 41. And on this one, we have a
So he did
PTS
respond.
invoice, 2 of them. One's for
Because it's a treatment
22,000,
plant.
one is for 46,000.
We don't have.
I don't recall that us as a board has seen this proposal for $68,000. I'm assuming they're associated. Because one is flushing the complete system after they've replaced the failed boiler.
Okay.
So in that scenario, is this the building fund? At least it's in the building fund. So unless this was a specific line item in our budget, this needed to go to RFP. It needed to be approved by the board.
Okay,
If I'm correct in my understanding of what I'm
Sure.
saying.
I will look
I
at
could
the
be totally
budget and
wrong.
make sure that if it was planned for or not.
The question you had about the water treatment plant, he says in his report or his text here that because we don't have a contract for the water treatment plant,
We don't have a license,
our license, we had to pay the,
the fee to maintain it.
right.
Is that the $8,000 question?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that was. And is that something we do every year or?
And I might know a water treatment dude that could maybe sign up for this. You know, is that something we should be looking at?
Good question.
With ORC, I don't believe that that's an every year thing.
Okay.
No, I don't see a purchase like that higher.
But I did think it goes back to the original, the conversation we had before Jen presented the budget, is
Mhm.
that we would be responsible for maintaining the water tank, and you would
Right.
see prices like
Mhm.
this add to
Right.
our budget.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
This is not a reoccurring cost. Thank you, Erin.
Thank
I love
you.
the chime in. It's perfect.
Nice.
Thanks for getting there. So yeah, then that was my last question, the $70,000 for King Murphy.
And I feel like I do remember that we talked about replacing the failed boiler.
We
and
replaced the
did
boiler.
do some of
We
that.
had
I don't know
that.
about that next week.
But I don't remember the 48,000 was a part of it.
If the flushing's just
Yeah.
part of that replacement,
Yeah.
I'm sure it is, but I will get a look.
Thank you.
Sure.
That's all I have.
Okay.
The employee handbook.
Yes, the employee handbooks.
Yes.
Thanks, Jen.
I believe this was something that was started by Tom last year, working with Kristen. Kristen and Lori have agreed to set aside some time. There's a lot of it that has been drafted, but it needs to be refined and finished. So there's two parts. One, I solicit someone from the board to join us for a review of the employee handbook. Also, I would like to have a member of our classified, our certified staff, and a building level administrator join a review of the employee handbook so that everybody's voice is included in the collaboration. I don't want to have a large contingency because I think you can start stretching out, and I think we're trying to get this completed in a timely manner. So I don't know if you have anything else to share, Lori or Kristen.
I think we need to do our work first, and
Right.
then once we have a chance to do all that, then we would love to get like a small committee together.
So we'll schedule a time. Is there someone in the room who'd like to volunteer to be part of that committee?
Has anybody done an employee handbook before? I know, it's unfortunate. It's a painful thing. I will say that I had to work on some of the employee handbook parts with Georgetown Community School this summer.
Uh-huh.
And there were some very perplexing parts that I could not make heads or tails of. So even if I'm not the one working with them, and maybe Kelly is, I would be happy to send the spaghetti that I found.
Can you send us, because we're going to meet sooner than later,
Oh,
can you
gotcha.
send us their book?
I will. They just updated it.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
Just because I want to make sure we're
They
also
were trying
not
to update it
way
and align
left
it with ours,
field.
but we couldn't make sense of ours.
We haven't
Some of
even, if you have ours, because
No, we
we're starting
have-
from
we
scratch,
have a,
basically.
We have a policy about employee time off that they were trying to put into theirs
Mhm.
kind of thing, and it just wasn't. I was reading myself in
Circular.
circles. Yeah,
My guess is, because I can't find ours in the 3 years that I've
that's
been
probably
here,
what they were. Yeah.
my guess is it hasn't been updated from when we went from the
Yes.
5-day week to the 4-day week, because I think that's when the district also went from sick personal vacation to PTO for non-year-round staff. So it would totally not make sense.
Have you
Right.
reached out
Right.
to educators to ask if any of them have a copy?
I have not, because I didn't know,
Mhm.
I didn't want to open that can of worms. Because there's also a lot of questions going on right now between, like, the high school just updated theirs. I think Carlson updated theirs. I don't know where King Murphy's is at. I don't know if anyone has ever gotten together with the 3 schools and Georgetown and the
Yeah,
district.
Maybe like the people building the
No,
bridge from
see,
different
so there,
directions.
yeah,
It makes a lot of sense for us to do that.
yeah,
Yeah. And if Georgetown's trying to align, but
yeah,
say, yeah.
yeah.
That's great. Okay, cool.
So the work is happening. At some point, we'd like to have a member of the board, and as I said, the other folks join us to review it and make sure that we're meeting all the expectations.
What's your time?
Yes.
She may not be part of the
She's
board.
short timing it.
Yeah, so you're a few of us that do not participate.
I'll volunteer if nobody else wants to.
Lori and I
Would
are,
you love to?
I mean, I can, but I don't know. I will, maybe we both do it and I learn because I've never done an employee handbook, so I'm happy to
I'm game.
lend my time and my input when I have it, but.
Can we twinsy it on that? Bobsy twin board member joining?
fine with me if
3.
it's fine with Wes.
Well, we don't have 3.
I know,
Yeah,
I just can't. have
yeah,
3.
right, thank you. Okay, cool.
Can we pause and backstep for 1 second because Aaron responded and then I
Oh.
know he got off with a crying baby, but he did say that it did go to RFP for flushing and replacing the boiler system.
And it was in the budget, and so it didn't need to come to us.
Yeah, and it must have come to you because he went to RFP.
Well, no, if it's already in the budget, it doesn't have to come to us.
He just takes the lowest bid.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You say.
All right.
Thank you. I think this is gonna be an important tool for our employees. Thanks for.
So communications is a work in process.
Yes, you saw from Lori's email to you all, there's several different variations of documents that align to communication. With that being said, I do want to give you, I have started reaching out to folks. I reached out to the candidate you presented as a possibility. I reached out to 2 others who have district level and experience as well as other experiences. And so I'm starting to get those responses, and I will, if you are okay, Jessica, I'll reach out to you to review the proposal that they're sending us, and then also reach out to the foundation to see about paying for the services moving forward.
Comment on something really quick, and I know that we are already going way late, but I just wanted to make a point. So having come into the school district this year with an exchange student, like I kind of experienced what it might feel like for a new family coming in. And I feel like it was so hard to get information. So one thing specifically that I was very frustrated with was communication on athletics. And so I think it would be really great if we could come up with a way that there's a communication that goes out to all families that says, and this is well before school, because like our exchange student missed the volleyball camp and everything, because we had no idea what's happening. So before school starts, as soon as things start to get organized with athletics in the fall, I think that there should be a form or something that goes out to all parents that says, if your child is interested in sports, please let us know which sports you're interested in. We will add your email to the coach's email list. Because I had to chase down emails from other parents, like, okay, what was sent out about this, what was sent out about this. And so I think that needs to be added into the communication plan. I did not see anything like that, so I just wanted to make sure that I brought it up.
I appreciate that. Would it help to, we're looking at creating one calendar at the district website that have all the schools events on there?
Yeah, that is another piece that's missing, but this is communication.
I hear what you're saying.
Prior
Prior,
from
even
the
Agree
family
with you.
specifically
Yeah.
to students.
I'll follow up on that.
Yeah.
Mhm. Are the communications getting better regarding athletics at this point?
Well, now that I'm on the coach's list, yes.
But in general, do you feel, are people feeling they're getting information coming from the school about events and sports?
It feels to me like it's very haphazard. Like if the coach is good at that and has an email list, they're exceptional at it. If they don't, or they're just not at that same spot, then there's no communication.
And I think in my experience, I'm done now, but I went through it since middle school.
You're never done.
Yeah, it was, that coach was tech savvy and would take time. Yes, it was really good. If that coach was a teacher and a coach and this and that, and that wasn't their priority, it was not good.
And I think the other piece that's kind of been a challenge in this year, at least for me with kids in athletics, is how the bus works. And where does it stop? Where does it not stop? And I think maybe even more about like, why doesn't it stop at a stop that it's always stopped at on the way to the next stop that it goes off at? So I think there's just some transportation communication challenges as it relates to that athletic transportation. And again, if the coaches are on it, then you get the communication pretty regular, but it feels very individual and it's not any kind of form or system. So what I'll get from the cheer coach feels completely different than what I get from the volleyball coach, which looks and feels completely different than what I'm sure other sports are. So if you're a parent with kids in lots of different things, your communication is really hunky. And you might be looking for what time do I drop off? And that's not clear to read in any of your communications. And so I think some streamlining would be very helpful.
If you're outside of athletics, is the information getting to you about when events are or what's going on?
So something else that I was thinking of, so I think that for families outside of Infinite Campus, like if you have not yet enrolled your student, you have zero information.
Okay.
And so I think as school is starting to happen, or if we're trying to contact people who might be interested in enrolling their child at our school, they are not getting any information unless they reach out to the school first. And so I think some sort of community communication around these things, and I know that's a part of the marketing plan, but I also think for the start of school, I mean, I heard somebody say that, you know, sometimes principals have, you know, families come in 2 weeks after school starts and like, hey, when's school starting? 2 weeks ago.
Well, and then there's me, who doesn't have a kid in the system, just like, you know, some of us don't. You don't get the regular emails. Now, we get them from Kristen now, which is great. I'm not getting them from the high school, middle school, and I've been calling about that since forever. I get them from GCS, which is great. I'd love to get them from Lorraine as well, but I just don't know. You know, I've offered to enroll my dog so that I could get the information, but there's got to be a way to at least, I mean, to get the information to the school board. I mean, we are the biggest proponents of the school district.
And it would be nice just to know without having to go dig too far.
Well, I went to go,
happening.
right, I went to go to the website to check on the website's down.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, if we just
opt
have,
in the communication.
yes.
Can I ask a question about the distribution list? Because I just want to, because I'll go back and have your names added or your emails added. Are you looking, and I'm guessing you're looking for both, like what goes out to, because you get anything that goes to CCSD.
Yes.
But you also
We get
want
that.
everything that goes to probably staff and families
Yes.
from the other schools.
Yes.
Yes. That would be amazing.
So it's beyond getting them emails. They have to have the Google Doc that it's attached to, has to give them permission to see it too.
But with our
That's what I'm seeing right now. I get the
school
emails, but I
credentials
can't
would
see what
work.
they're, I've sent out the emails to the principal saying, please.
Oh, they're not including you on the
Give me
Google.
rights.
Yeah,
Keep
okay.
their rights to public.
Mhm. Well, there was that quick little tidbit.
No, it's great. I mean, I need to know this stuff.
If the new principal has been sending out communication to families, because we both have students in middle school, high school, and have received zero communication from them.
Really? What?
I
That's a
don't know
less-
if I've seen the ones to about the staff.
And I only see all the staff. I don't see any of the family stuff.
And so as you asked about like, for back to school, there was huge questions. I have so many questions about, is there a back to school night? Is there not? Is there one at Carlson? Is there not? Is there one at the middle school? And then it was like, no, there isn't. Oh, yes, there is. No, it's only for some kids. And then there's another one later.
Oh,
for
we
other
shifted the
kids. And so
night
that
because of the
all
board meeting.
felt really
So
clunky.
are you not getting Lorraine's?
I get Lorraine's to my personal,
That's what I mean.
but I don't get the middle school, high school.
Yep, okay.
And I obviously don't get GCS or King.
We can get you added to they're pretty good. She may not know.
And I mean, I was on Brandy's email list, but I don't remember if I was getting hers, how I was getting hers, but I was on her.
So Google pushed out a whole bunch of stuff this summer, which also caused our angst. But one of the things that we did was we cleaned up with new Google security and all that. We cleaned up every distribution list, but we only have the information we have. So if you weren't on a list, you didn't stay on a list.
Sure.
And we IT, I believe, don't make like Lorraine and her secretary make her school list. Tiffany and Kevin make their school list. And then, so I'll reach out to each of the principals and secretaries to get you guys on their list. And then I'll reach out to IT to get you on like the school
Okay.
that was
staff
the
list.
I could definitely get all the ones from you, and so I guess for me, and I don't want to speak for Erica, but I will, you
Might
know,
as well.
we're eventually gonna just be citizens and just be parents, and so I appreciate getting my school district email added to a district list, but that's only gonna be helpful to me for a few more weeks,
Right, because once you're no longer a board member,
right? Then I
you
won't get any.
you won't get
I
anything.
think my concern is that, like, and I don't know, maybe Kevin is sending out communications, but I haven't, I just double checked, I've received 0 emails from him.
It's on my list to talk to him about.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of that.
Okay.
But I can take care of the school board stuff for the different school lists.
Right.
Thank you.
Anything
I'll
else?
get the list, because, yeah.
So, do we want to do work on a plan? Do we want to push it to the DAC who worked on it before? We want
Which
them-
one are we on?
Communications.
Oh, communications?
Yes. Do you want them, you
It
didn't
just
like
seems
the
there's
22
yeah, I
draft?
did not
Yeah.
like the 22.
And that's
It
fine.
brought back lots
Um,
of bad feelings.
I
think
do,
it just seems pretty outdated from where we
Yeah.
are these.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I think we can start fresh. And I think, you know, what's the word, not plagiarizing, but
swipe,
we can swipe
Yeah.
Durango's, I think.
say, I've got Durango's Board of Education, but I'll ask them for their district-wide.
Yeah, I think that,
Um,
yeah,
Yeah, they supplied me with their new onboarding
nice,
information, and Casby has a new school board member
nice.
handbook. And in December, they'll push out the new leadership guide, so yay, we'll have information overload. But yeah, I wasn't sure if there might be more energy in the, I don't know, the communication leg of the enrollment task force committee, since the DAC doesn't seem to have a lot of people.
The guts.
So, yeah, so the,
Because it was the DAC that worked on it previously, but we were averaging, 15 people. So
Well, Marcy, you're on both of those as a board type
Mhm.
person. Which one do you think has the better bandwidth and the energy?
I just hate to push too much on the
Tom's
enrollment
team.
task force because they're doing a lot.
They're doing a lot. Let's keep them focused.
I mean,
on
DAC hopefully is gonna have better
Mhm.
numbers next week or next month.
Yeah. They are looking for a new chair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the chair wasn't there last. That was weird.
I know we're trying to scurry up a couple of Georgetown reps.
Okay,
The same
yeah, because we don't have
as
another
Yeah.
coordinating with the.
Right, exactly.
And Lorraine just put out in her newsletter that Carlson
Oh,
I
okay.
maybe
Gotcha.
I can bring it to DAC because they're.
I mean, it is part of their
Very much on the
responsibility, so.
survey. The survey, they feel like is in good shape to just reuse, maybe slightly tweak as needed, but.
Excellent.
Okay.
so
Yeah.
what did you guys decide?
So we're gonna request that the DAC work on a new communication plan, and I will,
Don't even give them that other
yeah,
stuff. Don't.
I will reach out to Durango, unless there's any other districts that anybody would like me to reach out to, but I know their information is really quality and,
Well, I think we can at least break it down for them, right?
Mhm.
It's communication to the community, it's communication amongst the board members, it's communication to parents,
Mhm.
specifically athletics as well.
Yeah.
What else am I missing? Is that the 360?
I mean, some complaints that have come in the past were even how you use IC, how you
Okay,
you do the thing when you're first registering or getting your kid enrolled. So we've done that in the past with the back to school nights, just having a couple
Here's how you do
computers
it.
set up.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll be glad to.
I think it's mostly the outreach to
Sure,
the
with the data.
community on the various aspects.
Yeah.
At this point. Keep it narrowed down to that. Maybe do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you heard back from anyone that you shared the request for proposal?
So far, I've gotten 1 out of 3.
Okay,
So I'm waiting, I'll wait till a little longer.
Okay.
But there's a sense of urgency too, so I've got to at some point make a decision.
Yes.
So,
well, thank you for letting me
Yeah.
share another name with you.
yeah, sure.
All right, I think we're on to C4, is that right?
Yes.
Procedures to protect students from retaliation due to a parent's role.
Right,
Yeah.
so in your packet is an example from another school district out of state. My recommendation, if I could have one, is to look at using some of the language in that attached document to add on to our current policy, which is JICDE, is that the one we were looking at? And after you have the protected class part of that, adding on a sentence saying that this would also include staff members, children, board members, children, sponsors, children, guardians, children, so that we're
I
being.
think they shouldn't be able to bully any children.
Well, that's what it said. That's what it says right now. So we're going to add that. We're saying add a sentence.
So-
It's already says that in the document.
So,
I think as it pertains to a member, a child of a member of the board specifically, in light of recent things that, we have discussed as a board and knowing that Kelly and I are soon off the board, I wonder if the board would be open to having it say a parent or guardian serving or who has previously served. But still may have children.
and then I guess I just ask again, are we not covering all of those students already with JICDE?
They're not being covered.
If there's ever been a point to where any one of us have felt like our child, my dog, has been bullied at school, I would make a complaint, right? And it says here that that's what I would do regardless of me being a board member or anything else, a purple people ear, if you report bullying. Are we not finding that right now, or do we feel like we need a special class to do that? Or I'm struggling. I'm struggling with this saying that it already includes all students, right?
I mean, I will share that both of my students have had what I feel is retaliatory treatment based on things that I have said in my volunteer capacity on the school board. And they've been very troubling. And I have been asked by my students to please not make it be a bigger deal. I have a tendency, I guess. And so I've respected that. But I see it happen to my children. I worry about that as a way of recruiting potential new candidates. I spoke with many people who were contemplating running, and they asked that very direct question, and it was really hard to answer it honestly and still encourage them to run. And you'll notice we don't have candidates. And so I feel like it is also an important clarification to try to find people to run for these seats who have kids in school, because I do think it is an important perspective. But if they feel like there isn't some suspenders and belt to keep their kids safe for their academic career, they don't want to serve. And so I do think we need some sort of special designation. Otherwise, people are going to wait until their kids are out of the district. Or you have situations like the one that I have where it's like, that was really gross that your teacher said that to you. And
Have you filed any complaints?
I've talked to administrators, but I've kept it very quiet for the
Sure.
rest of my kids.
No, it's, yeah.
And so I know that
That's
we
tough.
believe
That's-
that we don't do bullying for anybody, but we do. And it does feel like there might be a need for health answers for that small population.
Do you think that if it were written in there or included in there, that would give you more teeth in your complaint?
Yes.
Because it's specific to that.
And then the comment is very specific to my role, not
Right.
just to, something. It was
Well, thank
very,
you for explaining.
it was very specific.
And I think that on its own, maybe the comment wouldn't have been significant enough to warrant or to fall under the other bullying, where you're like, I mean, maybe borderline, but I think when you combine it with Ellie's specific role and the comment that was made, then it absolutely, it would, in my mind, you're thinking like lasting impacts that this would have on a teenager, who might want to do something like this in their future, as an adult, and they're thinking, I remember what my teacher said to me, about my mom doing that. I'm not going to do that. So I think
My poor kids.
yeah. I just think there's a lot of, I don't know, long-term, issues that can happen from little.
So that helps me to see a little more of that side. Plus,
So what language specifically do you think you would like to see added?
I think
Or
what
you-
was mentioned was the making sure that students are not called out for their parents' involvement in the school board.
Which is number one.
I really like the sample language that you included. I don't know where that came from, but it's the last of the 3 attachments. I think that language is really
So are we saying all of the language that was provided in the sample, or do we want to streamline it to one sentence?
I could go either way. I think what you have written out in bold, or what the bold language covers it. It feels like the
can
numbers
measure
underneath
that.
just kind of
Right.
keeping like, for real. No, seriously, this
Yeah.
time, for real. And that's what those all feel like. It's like, if you
Right.
hear what I said, I'm gonna say it one more time.
Right.
So I don't know that we need the rest. The bolded part, I feel really
Okay.
good about. And I think, one of the things that is worth consideration perhaps is, recognizing that it's maybe not your children, but it might be your foreign exchange students. It
Right.
might be your person you're caretaking for, but it's not your child. So I would just want to have some assurance that in the event that this policy needed to actually be not implemented, but called upon, that the definition of children would be thoughtful to
Right.
recognize some of those differences
Yeah.
that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the bold, but I also like number 4, specifically calling out what consequences are involved.
so the bold kind of just narrows it to the parent guardian. It's a little contradicting what you were saying as far as like being with a student.
You say guardian.
Legal guardian has a different connotation than guardian. I mean, that's subject to,
I think that was okay.
so I'm bringing Patsy to school, and we're not gonna get bullied. Sounds good.
She's gonna love it.
She's gonna love it. She loves it. My questioning was more along the lines, that I don't want to put out there that we're asking for special treatment as board members. But as we've had this discussion, I've come around to seeing, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
And I don't think it's a special protection really, and I do want to believe it, and do for the most part, that all of our students are free from bullying teachers. I would like to believe that and hope that that is where we strive to be. But it is nice to know that there is just that extra level, because it's not my daughter's fault what I decide to be in my volunteer elected position. And she should not be asked the things she's asked. She should not be talked to in the way she's talked to because of the things I'm doing. She should be an independent learner, and we should protect that.
And you shouldn't have to have your children have their last names separate from yours, which is what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I should have Wait, I don't know if that would help.
Okay. Do you have the guidance you need there, Wes?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
We never come to implement it.
I hope not, but
Yeah.
All right, wait a minute.
New policy on adverse weather lightning.
so this came from, I believe, the last discussion we had about the experience of watching students practice over here on the field and a storm coming in and what were our policies. So
Carrie Ann actually had a question as to whether it went past or through the safety committee. Thank you.
it did not. This is what I'm working on, what I'm presenting to you right now. This is mostly presented from CHASA guidelines.
Mhm.
So we just basically adopted the CHASA guidelines and implemented this. So,
Okay, I just wondered if there was anything already in the safety handbook, because I don't recall there being anything, but.
There are some
but
aspects in there. I would have to go back through the 5,000 or so pages.
I thought it was weather, like winter weather. But sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a safety committee meeting since May, I don't think. We might be due one. But I don't know, those guys seem to have all the knowledge on all the things for safety. I just kind of wondered, guys and gals, I think there's one gal that's just one.
So would you feel comfortable with us moving this forward for approval and then editing later if?
Yeah, if we manage to squeeze in a meeting with the safety committee, which maybe safety committee is a quarterly thing, that's okay too, but it does feel like the right place. The right professionals, you've got ambulance, you've got fire, you've got police.
I do think it's really important that we have this policy because of the amount of experiential learning that we are encouraging our classes to do. And so to understand
How to be safe.
how to be safe, I think is really important. And to make sure that the educators are aware of what the protocol is.
Right.
Any other discussion? Can we move on to policy?
Yay!
Two. All right, our emergency immigration policies. Thank you for adding the email that Tom sent out. Are there any other questions or concerns?
No, I just think it sucks we have to do it.
Here we are.
Here we are. But I think these policies all go towards our thinking when we discussed these, I'm gonna say about 6 to 8 months ago, that ultimately it's about the student, protection of the student, and our job is a learning environment and not a police state environment.
What I'm not sure that I saw in the policy was
So
I guess
the
it's
last-
just access to information, not
Right.
access to the student. So
Right.
that's what sets them apart.
Right.
The biggest changes, we're no longer using birth certificates
Right.
as the sole data collection for
Yeah.
student information.
All right. Any other discussion there? If not, we'll move along. Okay, policy under second read, ACA name changes. I don't think you had any feedback on that. Policy IJ, student use of cell phones.
I continue to hear really positive feedback from parents on this policy and the way that it is.
Thank you.
JICA, student dress code. JICJ, which is also student use of cell phones. Then administrate JLCD and JLCDR, administering medications to students. I think there was a comment about the disposal of some EpiPens at the end of the school year instead of them being returned to a family. So I don't know if that's something we actually need in policy or just some common sense practice of not throwing away
Well,
$600.
hopefully we're throwing away in a biohazard situation.
Yeah.
I think I believe it says in here that they're supposed to reach out to parents to collect their medication, leftover medication. So I think that
Yeah,
would
that covers.
resolve that issue because they would be contacted before they'd be disposed of.
Just answer your messages.
I'll leave it at that.
All right, policy KEC, public concerns and complaints about instructional materials and library resources. I didn't see feedback there either. No. Okay. Moving along.
And we did check our board policy, Lori did, and the legal act that was our legal case with this Alabama school district regarding religious right to not participate in learning because of religious reasons. We've covered that. So.
Thank you. Okay. Policy AC, non-discrimination, equal opportunity. Policy GBEE, staff use of technology. GBJ, personnel records and files. I think everybody's just done.
I'm just looking at them
yeah.
to say no changes. All right.
Say IKF. With that, we did have a public comment about the valedictorian, salutatorian. And I'd like to just suggest that we move the policy forward with the exception of this fuchsia piece, only because I was talking with Pam Ginter earlier today, and this doesn't necessarily align with our practice, hasn't aligned with what's in the student handbook versus the student staff handbook, and then the course handbook. There we go. That was.
So when you're saying the valedictorian, salutatorian, criteria?
They're all a little bit different. So when Kevin, Mr. Marlock, was saying that, well, it's what's in policy. It wasn't what's in policy. It was what was in the student handbook. So that doesn't actually align with what we've been practicing. So I just, and I'd be glad to talk with a few people to try to find how we get to the, like, I think I understand what the concern is. We don't have access to all of the grant dollars and things that we had before. So having an uptick, like Warren Tech used to be limited to 8 students. We used to have a practice of having kids apply. This year we have 20, 25, and it's roughly $100,000. Those are dollars that are leaving and aren't necessarily in the future going to be reimbursable. Those grant dollars are all
Are they
disappearing.
charging us for that?
That is what I need to understand.
Is
When I-
Warren Tech charging us? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah, they sure are.
Yeah,
They don't-
So,
$100 every month.
I'm saying that maybe we need to look again at what practice was versus what practice has been this year, because we've had so many admin changes. Because I do understand what we're trying to say here in making sure we keep as many students as possible on campus, as much as possible. However, having
They didn't before.
some opportunities in
brand
case
new.
the course can't be
I
on.
remember we talked
But
about that last year.
I offered another resource to Mr. Paxton this week on
Right.
The Colorado Digital
Yes,
CDLS.
right.
Anyhow,
I'm talking to him tomorrow about it.
Excellent.
Yes.
So yeah, there are some other opportunities for us to offer students some really great programming without losing them from this campus and reducing the dollars that we're sending out. So I think that that is what we're trying to make clearer here, and I just would like it not to say exception, exception, exception. But I think we can get there. Say that it seemed like the biggest concern was a student who took language in middle school, and could that count toward their 2 years in high school? And I think that aligns with our policy IKFE, taking a high school level course in middle school. I think that covers it. So, but making changes that would affect students now, trying to put that in policy immediately isn't great practice. So just want to make sure we do it well so we can roll it out for next year.
Mhm.
So unless there are any other questions, that would be my suggestion for the board meeting. And I did assume, like, we did the update of dropping the excluding the last semester versus including the last semester, that our practice has been including the last semester for class rankings. I just wanted to make sure that that did indeed align. That's been our practice, but
That's normal practice for
Okay.
schools.
very good.
Especially if you're talking about Val South especially.
Okay, very good. Are there any questions or comments about IKF and IKFE?
This particular policy has been a struggle for me.
Mhm.
I have a lot of concerns, so I'm not sure I'm supportive of the idea of passing the policy with a huge section out of it that is the section that we've been most troubled by, that our community is talking about. So that feels icky.
That is
And then
all added, that wasn't in policy, all that
But this
came
is what
up.
we've been talking about, you know, and so to me, this is what the public feedback is
Okay.
about, this is what we've had our meetings about, so now it feels like we're kind of doing the thanks community. You raised some really good questions, we're not gonna answer any of those, in fact, we're gonna
I'm
take all
just-
paragraphs out, so that's one thing. The next thing that I would just like clarity around it, and I don't know if I heard you correctly, but I don't want to figure out how to put less kids in Warren Tech.
Me either.
And cut that program. I think that's an exceptional opportunity for our kids. And so I don't like tying these to that with the, we're gonna
punish
we're
you.
gonna take things away from you. I feel like those are all very additive, and the fact that we have so many more students that are signing up and enrolling says to me that that's something they want.
We
And so I'm
did
just
have
concerned
interest
about
in the past, and we limited that in the past because budget. So
And so did I misunderstand what you said?
I'm just saying that we might need to take a look at what was practiced before, because students this year didn't go through a process to be selected. They applied, and it was all dependent upon what was open from Jeffco, not because we were sending the students that maybe most needed, or anyhow.
I don't know.
I'm gonna ask then that we have some time to ask some more questions about this policy. Because I think it still opens.
I'm okay with asking more questions. I think it's super important.
So I'm okay with not moving it to second read.
Yeah, I think we we clearly are not all on the same page, and our community is not on the same page. And so I don't feel like there's a huge urgency that we need to pass this in 2 weeks when we're not even aligned. So I think the best thing to do is to punt this and spend maybe a more intentional portion of a study session to talk about this instead of at the end of the meeting that we're already over. And I think that this particular policy has found itself in that part of our agenda every time we've talked about it. And so then I think we rush through it. And so maybe we need to have this policy, this particular policy conversation at the front of a study session in October, because we have a lot of questions, our community has a lot of questions. And I think we have
What does it make sense to have Pam come and
That's what I was just telling you.
provide her
I think that
input,
makes sense.
since this is her expertise?
So my wonder, my experience of graduation is unique. We have a one high school district. However, it's typically the role of the SAC at the school. The parents that do this work and then present to the board.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask that Kevin work with the SAC to go through this.
Okay.
And that's where they get the parent input, because the parents are at the high school.
That would be a
Yes.
piece for us.
Yes.
And then get their input and try to get some kind of consensus on the valedictorian and salutatorian, knowing that if it changes, as the young ladies presented here, and we all know, they can't change anything that would impact the kids today. It has to be the incoming freshmen that it would impact.
Right.
If they're just providing clarity, then we can present it as that. But if they're revising how to select the salutatorian and valedictorian, we will have to have it go into effect for the incoming freshmen.
Because, yeah, the .003 hadn't been in policy, but it was in a student handbook.
Right.
And that's not actually been our practice.
Right.
For the last 10 years, because we've had students get close to that. So.
But the thing is that I think part of the reason that they're trying to, and this is just the nature of having so much turnover, is trying to put it somewhere that keeps it held.
Right.
So we're not recreating the wheel every year, which causes confusion among the student population and the parents.
Thank you.
So does that IKF like a set of 3 here? As far as SAT review, or are we just
I don't
talking
think
about graduation requirements?
IKFE is
No.
related just to middle school students taking high school
Right,
courses.
okay.
And that is, I don't know that we really make
We don't have
significant changes there.
No, it just clarifies we don't have 2 separate schools.
Correct.
They're all one building. Mainly.
But yeah, I think that spoke to the students' question about taking the language in middle school.
Yep.
I think that this is covered by IKFE.
On the IKFE, is,
Mhm.
do we, I mean, it's it sounds to me like we have one high school, middle school principal.
Correct. That's how it's been rewritten.
And is that the way it's always going to be,
Are you saying, let's write middle school
or high school?
or high school principal just in case?
I'm wondering, but I'm also hungry.
I mean, man, I would love if we had like 200 more kids in middle school, but I can't see us needing a separate principal anytime soon. And we have to look at these policies on a
Where we're at
rotating
right
basis
now.
anyway, so
Yeah.
I think we
Gotcha.
should build it for where we are.
I'll eat some cookies.
Yeah,
Okay. IKFB. We have no changes, no other feedback.
Right. The
And
interpretations
then-
that will give kids opportunities to change.
Student use of technology. JS.
There's one change.
Yeah.
It's a crossover.
Yep. All right. Any future agenda item suggestions?
I think they've been filling them up themselves.
I mean, I do think we are gonna need to revisit the Lookout Mountain situation.
Oh, absolutely.
Pretty significant.
That's what I mean by filling them themselves. Have you talked to Ironer about the lookout water situation at all.
Einar Jensen, who's our
Evergreen Fire.
Evergreen Fire, yeah, thank you. Yeah, he might have some,
I know
Good
that
perspective
Aaron's
for us
had
too.
conversations with him, but I have not.
Yeah.
A lot of this is done last spring. So
Mhm.
I've been picking up pieces.
And that whole situation,
Did a
and
great
as
job.
I'm thinking about
Thank
it,
you.
that whole situation could be something that you do want to take to the safety.
the- yeah,
That's a,
the water tank to the
the
safety
water
committee.
tank to the safety committee. too.
Yes.
Can I move to adjourn?
Okay, but can you also remind the people online that there's a different link for the next?
Yes, we're about to head into a special session and there's a different link for that. Thank you, everyone online.
Second,
Thank you.
Honeycan,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McHugh,
yes.
North.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.